Hey there, kids. It's me, Oni the Unicorn. And I'm here to tell you that f***ing your dreams ain't cheap. In fact, it costs a ton of cash to do. So that's why me and the OHNO radio show need your help. Just go to the website displayed below and hit us up with some cash, yo. $1, $5, $1 million if you have it to spare. Any amount is appreciated. Well, I gotta go because these dreams ain't gonna fuck themselves. See ya!
And welcome back once again to the OHNO Wrestling Podcast. Welcome to the show. My name is Owen, and I am your sharp break kid, or as Duncan likes to call me. What do you like to call me these days, Duncan?
You are Meth Rollins, my friend.
Apparently, I'm Meth Rollins now with my new beard. Duncan is, of course, here, like I just said. He is our king of bong style. As we await, hopefully, the arrival of our predictions champion, Matthew, the modern day Mataraja, or Big Money Matt, as he may well be known. He's been killing it with these predictions lately,
Dude.
huh?
It kind of is upsetting.
It is. Like, we don't even stand a chance these days.
No, well, to be fair, he and I had the exact same
You did.
score, but, like, champion's advantage.
Champion's advantage wins the
We gotta
belt.
figure out, I think we gotta figure out some sort of, like, gimmick to the championship.
I agree. I think the year-long gimmick is going to be, a big thing.
That's a long-term gimmick. I like the long-term
Yeah.
gimmick, too, but we need, like, a short-term gimmick or something.
we need some form of almost
in the bank.
gimmick match, to
Yeah.
help with. We got to dethrone this guy, man. We got
I don't want it to. No. I don't want it to be a conspiracy of us
I
to
do.
try and dethrone. I know you do, but I just want it to be more like, oh man, like he's too good at this.
Mm-hmm.
And because we all sort of think the same way.
We do. It's tough because all of us are naturally going to want to go kind of in that same direction. And we tend to do that, and when we don't do that, it's because we're literally just trying to throw a wrench in the fucking gears, just to kind
We are
of
throwing Hail Marys all day long.
exactly. Like, I don't know, maybe Apollo. Like, I didn't think Apollo was really gonna beat Big E, but that was
No, but like at that point, we had literally. I'm just like, fuck.
God damn it.
Everything that I thought was gonna happen happened.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm not even that upset because it was a good show.
It was not a bad show. It had, and we're gonna get fully into the whole Fastlane kind of thing, and I don't, again, we don't necessarily go match by match, detail by detail, but it warrants a little bit of talking because that's of course where Matthew retained his belt. And we'll just kind of segue into that. We'll start with what was the opening match? Was it the tag match, the women's tag?
Well, technically, the opening match was the pre-show match for the U.S. title.
Yeah, that came out of left field, and really, I mean, for a pre-show match especially, they gave him some time. Like, it wasn't.
Yeah.
They gave him. I don't know that it was a full 20. but
It's
it
probably like between 12 and 15, I'd say.
it might even been a little bit longer than that, to be honest.
Maybe.
But
Hold on, I can tell you.
yeah, please do. I think 15, somewhere around there. I would.
As long as it wasn't a 5-minute bullshit TV match, you know what I mean?
You know what's making me think it's probably longer was the aftermath of the match with having, of course, the
where,
retribution stuff
yeah.
with Ollie. Of course, Riddle wins the match. I don't think really. I mean,
The Flying 69.
yeah.
Oh, it was only 9 minutes and 16 seconds.
Oh shit.
So we are both wrong.
Both wrong, and yeah,
Terribly wrong.
it must just be that segment after the fact that kind of led it to feel a little bit longer. I feel a little bit bad for Ali, if I'm being honest. I think it's just once again Ali is in this situation where, like, I don't know, like, is this going to be? I mean, is this the end of Retribution completely? Is this the end of Ali just being the leader of Retribution? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, honestly, you either got to go hard at splitting them up completely or unmask them, get rid of the goofy ass masks
and the names.
Honestly, I don't care if you keep the names, but like everybody's going to know who they are anyway.
Right.
So
it could be like T-Bar in parentheses Dominic Dijakovic or something, right?
Yeah,
like you could do it that
whatever.
way.
Yeah, just like fucking figure out what you're gonna do. You can still, I think you just have to drop this whole like we're trying to destroy the WWE from the inside bullshit.
Yeah, if you make it more,
new gimmick is.
Well, if you make it more just like, hey, we're not being given the opportunities that we think we deserve, and it's more along those lines that it, like, kind of what I was talking about last week of having it be like someone like a new leader, perhaps like coming in with like an Aleister Black or a Ricochet.
I love how you keep saying Aleister Black, and nobody's going to be happier to see Aleister Black than me. He is not going to step foot on WWE TV until his contract is expired. Like, he's done.
You think so, huh?
I think so.
Do you think it's that? And what would be your reasoning? I mean, do you think it's the
they have nothing for him.
Just have nothing for him.
Don't see him as being the
that guy.
Yeah.
I read a report today that he might be dealing with some minor injuries as well. I don't know how
could be as well.
I don't know how truthful that is, but
yeah, he hasn't been on TV since October.
God damn. It's that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad. That really is, because as we both know, that, you know, it would be, you know, it's criminal, much like in the case of Andrade's, you know, situation.
Which we will get into as
100% we'll
but
get
dude,
into.
like Aleister Black wasn't even in the fucking Royal Rumble.
Yeah. And why? You know, like, there were people in there that, I mean, you can argue he would have been a far more interesting possible winner of that Rumble than some of the people that made it a lot further than he. Well, that he wasn't in it, so that made it a lot further than him.
Further in the Rumble than he did.
Yeah. At least we were at NXT a couple weeks back, or a couple months ago.
Right. Like, we've probably been closer to the ring, unfortunately, than he has. And it sucks, man, because like, great talent. Like, I fucking love Aleister Black. I've been pretty unashamed about that since he debuted in NXT.
Well, he's just your type of guy. He's the tattooed, dark guy. I mean, aside from the dude's talent, he's your aesthetic of what you like in a performer, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, and he listens to a bunch of the same music that I do, and just like, I love the wrestlers that embrace the sort of darker aesthetic.
Yep.
Even if they do it in a fun kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Like the villain, right? Like, you look
at
you know, you look at Marty Scurll and the villain character, and it's very serious, but also can be extremely funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like knowing how to ride that balance and make it a well-rounded character. I think that Aleister Black is a well-rounded character.
much more than
And-
he's gotten credit for, apparently, from like the writers in WWE. I think he's that perfect blend of real world and sort of spooky supernatural stuff that
Yeah.
that you know, it's not overt like the Undertaker with lightning bolts, and it's not even what they're currently doing, of course, with the Fiend and Bray and what he's been in the past. I
Mhm.
think it's a much more realistic portrayal of like, oh, this dude could be into some like dark black magic shit that
Exactly.
that has some sort of like basis in what people believe in real life, which
Right.
that right there is something that they're foolish for not exploring.
They're wasting it too, because
Yeah.
it's just like, you're 100% correct, because that's what gravitates me towards it is the fact that it is close to real beliefs and
Mhm.
like that.
It's like
you
that
know-
whole Wiccan thing almost, right?
No,
Like
he's an open Satanist.
open Satanist, right?
Open Satanist. Like he's like
Yeah,
he
but
is.
you know, Satanists aren't what a lot of people think Satanists
No, they're
are.
definitely not. But also Wicca and that are very far removed from.
Gotcha.
Like
I don't know
they're
anything
very-
about that. I know more about
I
the
s-
Satanism thing than I do that side of things.
Well, yeah,
so.
that's just because I don't shut up about
This
it.
is also true.
But yeah, it's he's been pretty open and honest about that. And honestly, man, like I think that everybody's just like, they see somebody who's a little bit dark, a little bit spooky, and they're just like, new Undertaker.
Yep.
No,
Doesn't
stop
always
that.
have to be. Yeah.
Never gonna be.
And it's the same with Bray, which again we'll get to later. We're
Right, but that's exactly the same that happened
Yeah.
with him. Is like, and then they put him up against the Undertaker, and we all know how that worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Again, Riddle Ali, great pre-show match. Not as long as we thought it was, but
No,
now we have
it could have been the weed.
We have the we also have we then have sort of the falling apart, we'll just say, of Retribution.
The fracturing.
The
of Retribution.
fracturing. I feel like they're going to keep a couple of them together, especially with that joint choke slam. Like we might
Of
have
Mace and T-Bar.
Yeah, so Slapjack, Mia
Or
Yim.
Slapjack and
It was Slapjack and Mia Yim that left the ring, and then it was T-Bar and Mace that you're right, that did that double choke slam.
yeah.
I feel like you could use them as maybe just have a tag team that's called Retribution, and they're a tag team now. Like
It could very well be.
that works. I mean, especially
It does.
when they need tag team wrestlers. And
Mia
why were
Yim
they
is-
the two to choose to stay and beat up Ali when the other two were just like, nah, you suck, bro. I'm out. Like you keep
It wouldn't
losing.
surprise me if the other two go back to NXT.
Remind me again who Slapjack is.
Slapjack is standby. First of all, I hate Mia Yim's name.
What is it? It's it's not
Reckoning.
Reckoning. I was gonna say Rebellion or something, but yeah.
No, but it's equally as dumb.
Yeah, this is not far off.
No. So Slapjack is Shane Thorne.
Vague memories of him on NXT, but
Yeah,
not a,
he's an Aussie.
yeah.
has competed in
I feel
Ring of
like
Honor.
I feel like he tag teamed with somebody for a bit.
He was in TM61.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
They had a decent feud way back when with
Gargano and Ciampa.
Gargano and Ciampa when they
Yep.
were DIY.
Yep, they sure did.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I saw them. I think I saw them live actually. Now I think back on it, but
Oh yeah, at that takeover that you went
yeah,
to.
that takeover I went to
think you're right.
where Andrade didn't debut, but maybe he did debut. He might have actually debuted at that pay-per-view.
Well,
Either way, excited to see. I think this is long-term going to be good for Ollie. Hopefully they can do something with him. Hopefully they can move him around. Hopefully they can give it a refresh, and he can have even more of a bug up his ass that these people, man, they don't even... these jabrones that I hired, they don't even get it now. Like,
Right.
you know, like they can go some direction with that, I suppose. But they need to just separate. Like, if they're going to separate them really far apart. And
yeah.
And Ollie, I think at the moment, they might be smart to move him rosters. Like, keep the Retribution guys, maybe on Raw, and then have Ali go over to SmackDown.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be a better option for him, especially when he was originally supposed to be that hacker character on SmackDown that never came to fruition. That could play into something.
It just goes on the long list of gimmicks that never got paid off.
Exactly. It does.
It's GTV 2020.
I also see, like, as much as I would like to see a longer, more intense feud with him and Riddle, I think that can come down the line, especially with what I think they're developing with Riddle going forward. I feel like we might even get another, like, a pre-show match with Riddle at Mania, possibly with Sheamus. Like, there's some backstage interaction yesterday on Raw with Sheamus and Riddle and
that goddamn scooter.
You know, that for the U.S. title, that sort of fits, especially with what Sheamus has just gone through with a couple big losses.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps him in the picture. Not that he needs it, but he can.
I was gonna say, but does he deserve it? Like, is our 2-3 like is several high profile losses?
He did have that one big win though, because I think he pin Lashley not too long ago.
Did he?
I think he did. I could be mistaken about that, but either way, it's Sheamus. They're not gonna need a reason to do whatever they want, you know.
Like, I don't really pay attention to Sheamus, to be entirely honest with you.
I think he's been a lot better in recent weeks and months than he has been in a very long time.
The match at Fastlane was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was very good for a no holds barred match.
No surprise with the winner though.
No,
but that was pretty much all the matches on the card.
I was gonna say that's what made the predictions difficult.
Yeah.
Is that, like, all of these are gonna, and there was no prediction that, like, we could have changed that would have won us the fucking
not at all
championship. So
it is like, what it is.
And as soon as I realized that, I'm like, oh.
The only unfortunate thing is that we had to have Matthew's predictions earlier, so we didn't get his Seth and Shin prediction, which, you know, turned out to be Seth. But at the same time, like, if we don't have all the predictions, we were just going to use that as a tiebreaker if there needed to be that at some point in the night. But, you know, lo and behold, there wasn't a need for that.
Nope. Wipe the floor with us.
And the only one that was kind of up in the air for me was that Apollo Crews Big E match. I can understand why Big E retains. I think they continue this feud and they do something with it at Mania. Now it might be the ladder match. It might have more people. I think Apollo might get that belt in the near future, maybe even at Mania.
Maybe.
But I don't think he pins Big E to get it. That's why I'm saying having more people possibly in the fold that can take the fall, keeping Big E looking strong at Mania, but also getting the belt on Apollo. Maybe that's kind of my thought process as of right now. But
and Big E is from Tampa, so he will obviously lose in his hometown.
Yeah. Except didn't they switch that on us when we went to Mania and Naomi won?
Yes.
Yeah. It was. Yep. Yeah, it was a shocking one. But first match of the night, the actual card would be the women's tag team match with Reginald, our boy Reginald.
I fucking love that dude.
Me too. I have not got sick of him yet, as much as some of the internet are bullshitting with it. I'm like, no.
The internet is usually wrong most of the time.
Exactly.
Also, as far as that goes, like, I spent 2 years living on tour with the guy, like,
right.
And I'm still not sick of him. So
you want to see him succeed, and we all do, you know.
Yeah.
It was.
I want to see him succeed long enough to be able to pull a Kofi Kingston and drop his fake accent.
Perfect. That's a good way to put it. All of us kind of predicted that, of course, the champions would retain. Would you consider this kind of a heel turn for Banks?
I mean, I would definitely say that
it has those tinges.
No, she definitely had to establish herself as the heel in the feud between her and Bianca, because they have both been the faces against Shayna and Nia.
Yeah.
So they had to separate. they had to fill time.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
they had a month of, not really a month, but a few weeks of programming and a pay-per-view smashed in there that they had to fill. So they had to make that work. And now I think obviously Sasha would be the heel so that Bianca will have her big moment at Mania.
No, I think that they have to go this. They have to go that way at this point. I've been. We'll kind of get to this later, especially when we talk a little bit more about how Mania is shaping up.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed that they're advertising. They're starting to advertise certain matches for certain nights.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And not all of them, but they've kind of like they're starting to allocate this match to this night, this match to that night, and what have you. And Bianca and Sasha is set for night 1. A lot of people are, of course, clamoring on the internet, especially a lot of the women's wrestlers, that they main event the show. And I've got a yes and no on that one. I want that gender equality. I want there to be, because I do think that's going to be a huge match. But I can also see them coming out and having the first match in front of people, in front of a crowd that's not on the kickoff show, and that being equally as rewarding. I don't think in current WWE, I think the opening match might be as important in some cases as the headlining match. And
I can see that. I don't know. Like I look at Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
And Sasha versus Bianca. And one of those matches will open. And
one of them will close. 100%. All right, we're in complete agreement on that.
Yep.
That's because that's the way that has to work. And I don't know.
I think so.
That might be decided on the day. That might, that literally
it absolutely might. It might be decided by who's going to have the better pyro display.
Ooh, and have you seen the new cool shit they're doing with Lashley's like fucking lightning bolts they're doing? Yeah. Dude, it's pretty dope. They're not Taker lightning bolts either. They're like, is it CG or is it true pyro? I can't even really tell, to be honest. But that's a sign of how good it kind of is.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really not sure. In my heart, for me, I think that Sasha and Bianca should headline Mania.
I think so too. Oh, sorry, I got a thingy here. Sorry, our Twitch viewers. We're getting our Les Champions into the thing.
Here we go.
If we just give it 2 seconds here.
Here we go.
He's gonna beat us up, isn't he? He's gonna.
No, he's just gonna be sinning and winning.
Sinning and winning. There he is
champion
once again. What's
bringing
up?
Bringing that belt all the way back to my favorite place in the world, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Sorry, I was down in the lobby. There was a horde of people, a crowd. They wouldn't let me through. They wanted to touch the belt, see the belt. They wanted me to talk to the people, kiss babies.
I knew there was a reason that you were running late.
Them? You charged them, right?
Them. Oh yeah,
that's right.
I charged them. It's $25 a kiss for a baby, $50 to touch the belt, and $100 to touch me.
What are those 8x10s running right now?
40.
40. It's actually 40 for a selfie with your own cell phone, just like with Tama Tonga. No, that was only 20 though. That was actually awesome though. You're just like, hey man.
I snuck in. I got the whole family.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
I did get the whole Tonga family.
That was great. That was fun.
Well, it's good to have you with us.
Show, good brother.
It's good to
Sorry I'm running late to you all.
Stuff your sorries.
First and foremost, and to everybody listening, whether live or on the podcast. I'm sorry I've been gone the past couple of weeks. You guys have been crushing it. I just couldn't make those Friday and Saturdays, as I have been on the road more so than a professional wrestler is on the road when COVID is not happening, and apparently those things take its toll.
Well, again, good to have you with us. We are just kind of going over the stuff from Fastlane. We were just talking about kind of how. What were we talking about, Duncan? We've gone over a couple of the matches, but really, we
were talking about WrestleMania, and because we were just talking about the women's match at Fastlane,
right,
and basically right before you came on, Owen and I are in agreement that one of the two championship matches, either Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre or Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, one of them will open WrestleMania on night one, and one of them will close WrestleMania on night one.
And we were basically just saying, because they've announced certain matches for certain nights, but they've not announced them all. Like, so Sasha and Bianca are set for night one, is what they're saying.
Yep.
And I think that you probably have Drew and Lashley on night one as well.
It's on night one. I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now.
They're gonna give Lashley the moment.
You think so?
Like, I mean, even if it's not like they're gonna get him like in a main event in front of the crowd. I think, even if he doesn't win.
And I don't disagree with that, but Owen did bring up the point that like the first match at Mania, in front of people, is also
okay. That's a good point. I actually had not thought of that,
and I hadn't either until he brought it up.
And it's why it's an interesting one to predict. And I think that this is going to be. We'll get to more of the kind of how Mania is shaping up stuff later, but just in the case of this is going to be hard to predict of how like matches kind of like where they fit into the card.
Yeah.
And I think this particular one is going to come down to the day. This will be Vince. Like, I don't know that they're going to know going in, like, who's going on first, who's going on last. But in this sense, the first match is almost as important as that headlining match on day one.
It is. So I want to be clear, and you guys can correct me right now. That is the first time there are fans, because I know that there's like 80 days of wrestling in the week prior to that. And things like that. But I think they would be saving the fans to just Mania. I mean, that's the only thing I've seen tickets for.
I don't think they're doing TakeOver.
I mean, I think TakeOver is still going to be the crowd that's at the CWC anyway. So it's just like the 60 people or whatever that's there. It's, friends and family and like the regulars. But yeah, the first paying crowd, and the first even close to regular size crowd for WWE will be night one of WrestleMania.
So
paying out the ass too. But
yeah, I looked at tickets and I was just like,
yeah, you guys talked about it on the podcast. I mean, we've all been. I'll wait it out until I can go to another show. That's like I don't need to be there. I can enjoy like 2 nights of this and like I said, 70, 80 days of that they crammed into fucking 7 days.
Yeah, it's
somehow.
all of April.
Yeah, it's all of April.
The pre-show is on now. The pre-show is on now.
Yeah.
We just have I haven't tuned in yet.
The pre-show's on now. The main event will take place on 420.
But let me ask you guys this, since we were just talking about McIntyre, and I don't want to just come in and steamroll and get us completely off track, but something that I've kind of been thinking lately as we're talking about McIntyre, does he just seem like a little one-dimensional to you all at this point? Like to me, like he is what he is, which is fine and it's great, but the character doesn't have any more any new depth. Or it has whatever it has been and was, which was great, but there's nothing else that's changing at the moment that is making the character. It just seems stale at this point.
I get what you're saying, and I think there's probably some truth to that. I think it's hard being super tough guy face without a little dose of comedy. Drew doesn't have a whole lot of like that comedy in him, or like he's a good.
He was in 3MB.
But in this current iteration, I think he's a good promo. I also think that it was smart for them to throw the face paint on him, whether that was his idea or somebody else's. I liked the face paint at Fastlane against Sheamus. and I think that is a cool looking action figure. I think he's just one of these that isn't meant for us, much in the same way that Roman Reigns wasn't meant for us back when he was a face a couple of years ago. He is, I think kids like Drew. I think kids look at him and be like, wow, that is a fucking stud of a pro wrestler right there. That's a huge dude that talks
Do kids
tough.
think about studs?
I no, but maybe just me. Maybe just me. But you know what I'm saying. They look at him as a bigger than life superstar, and I can see like that's sort of the positioning that they're doing with him. He does need something. You are absolutely right. He does need something to elevate it. I still think he probably wins the belt at Mania. I haven't got there 100% yet, but I still think that they are wanting to do that. And I think long term, if you want to inject him with some more personality, you've got to have him maybe, I'm not saying have a manager, although that could work. An alliance with somebody might be beneficial. But then I also see that a year from now, Drew might be heel again.
I could see a year from now Drew being heel again. And I could see them, again, this goes back to that, WrestleMania moment. Like, let him win the title now in front of people. Whether he holds it after that for a long time or anything is inconsequential, because what he did during the pandemic, having won it and having everyone behind him and doing such a good job, I think that is so commendable, and he did do a good job. So I'm not saying he's been stale this entire time or anything like that. And they did do things throughout this run where they ended up bringing in the sword, and like you said, the face paint. But like, it's been a little one-dimensional for me lately. And I think that for as much as they've done, but I think for him, Lashley can win that belt back. But he should get that moment in front of everybody, because he did carry a good chunk of, that roster with that title during the pandemic, during the height of the pandemic. I mean, think back to WrestleMania last year. I mean, we all didn't know what was going on. I mean, I was scared to go outside. I thought that just stepping outside the front door and breathing, I would get it, you know?
Right.
So it's someone who actually took it and held it and did it in such a way that we all kind of got behind him, and he did it in kind of a spectacular way. The only other way that I think you don't have him win is you bring Gronk back.
Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, he just won another Super Bowl, so why not?
Wow.
Honestly, I think that if Lashley and McIntyre open up the show, Drew will win. I think they'll give Drew that, because then they'll give Bianca her moment at the end. I think Bianca wins the belt regardless of whether she opens or closes the show.
But you don't think so for Drew? You think if they close the show with him and Lashley, that Lashley would retain?
I think so.
Interesting. I also think there's a possibility with how hot you talk about one-dimensional. Bobby Lashley's pretty one-dimensional. He's always been for his entire career. The Hurt Business is the only thing that's changed that. And I think with the popularity of the Hurt Business, clearly they're going to be better as heels. But you could, theoretically, over time, in this next year, we might be looking at heel Drew McIntyre and face Bobby Lashley. And I think there's even a double turn that you can do in that process in a match. I think that could be possible for you to gain sympathy with Bobby Lashley just because of how hot the Hurt Business is.
I want to agree with that, but I don't.
Well, MVP is a born heel, so that's the whole stable are kind of, they're centered around that. But yes.
Yeah, I just don't really see that as being as viable. I can see Drew going heel.
Right.
But it's harder for me to see. The only way Lashley goes face is if the Hurt Business splits.
That's probably accurate. Is how I feel.
And I think they're going to run Hurt Business for a while.
Yeah. And they should. Because they're working. It's one of the few things that they have that's working.
Yeah, and it's grown on me. I did not like it at the beginning. Like many things in professional wrestling, I did not like it at the very beginning. But
no,
it
because
grew on me.
the Hurt Business sort of like really started at the like right before the pandemic, but like it became prevalent during the height of the empty arena and the NXT talent being in the crowd.
I think they're going to be one of the big surprises for the backstage office when they see how over they are in front of a crowd. I think they're going to be like, whoa, we've got more than we even thought that we had here. I think they know what they've got up to a degree, but
that's going to happen with pretty much anybody who's on Mania.
Well, that also leads me to, that's an interesting point that you bring up. And like, I mean, whether it's Hurt Business or anyone else, whether it's any stable or any just individual wrestler, like, do you think creative and like backstage booking, like, I mean, they obviously have their finger on the pulse of social media. They understand what they're doing, like to an extent, whatever. I mean, we write half of their scripts. But regardless, like, do you think it will, and this is probably wishful thinking, me saying this, them now seeing certain pops and like what they think has been happening, and then seeing that with a live crowd, does that change anyone, or more importantly, Vince McMahon's mind on what actually is working and not working?
Well, the biggest question with all of that is going to be, does Roman get cheered or booed? And regardless,
because they're pumping in those boos.
And regardless, he's gonna get the same reaction that he probably got prior to all this, which is might sound weird, but if you remember, he was always boo, yay, boo, yay. The crowds were always 50-50 on Roman. Even when we hated him, there were plenty of people in that stadium that were cheering for Roman. Now, it's just the two demographics of those people have switched around. And now,
also,
so you're going to probably get a pretty similar response. It's going to be a big response.
But you also cannot take away how much WWE is piping in, and how much of that is not necessarily, like, it is not how the crowd is reacting.
No.
Having been in the NXT crowd, when the audio that they're pumping in is doing something other than what we're all doing.
Well, we even texted, I think, during one of those events that you were at in person, and I was watching live from home. And
exactly.
I remember you asking me, I forgot what exact match it was.
It was MSK. MSK versus the Grizzled Young Vets in the Dusty Cup finals.
It was a much different reaction, whatever which way it was, than what I was watching than what you were seeing personally.
They were
live.
playing.
I remember we talked about this on
that because they were playing
MSK
as the faces, and everybody was booing the shit out of MSK at the show. So it was crazy to me to see that. So it'll be, I think that it won't necessarily change Vince's mind, but it will sort of, he will then see who's actually getting over in a live setting versus who's getting over tweeting and on Instagram.
And this is why Cesaro and Seth Rollins need a match at Mania, just so people can see Cesaro's over as fuck, and Cesaro deserves that match, and it will be a banger. I think they're setting up towards it. I think that might be it could be a kickoff. It could be, but I think we're gonna get there. I think they have enough time to build that, especially because you kind of want Seth on Mania, don't you?
I mean, you wouldn't have brought Seth back not to put him on Mania at the time that you brought him back.
Right.
I will say, I think also, just as we're getting into that, I will say with Vince and a live crowd, it's going to be like a fucking junkie falling off the wagon. That guy's going to be fucking riding high that entire night. You know, this is his fucking life.
The series of gifts is going to take it that one step further with the
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it'll be nuclear, I'm sure.
it'll actually be really interesting when they come out with the
Mhm.
24 or something like that, you know, or 365 or something for this Mania. It'll be interesting to see like everybody.
It
But
always is, but this one in particular.
Yeah.
this one in particular, you know, and the pandemic one, that was really interesting to see. But this one I think is going to be, you know, much more interesting to see. But to your point, I mean, Seth Rollins, Cesaro on paper, great in my mind. Great, it's banger of a match. I mean, you do have enough time to kind of build something right now to get there. I don't think you have to have a huge storyline to make that make sense. You can kind of weave it together, and you can let the wrestlers actually just have a really good match. People are going to want to see Seth Rollins, whether people were behind Cesaro or not, and know that he's an amazing wrestler. It's going to then put him on a platform to be able to showcase his ability, and anyone who didn't realize that he was already amazing are going to be like, oh shit, this guy was like a sleeper cell, and he hasn't been.
I mean, but how many times have we had this conversation about Cesaro?
Every week.
Like, well, no, but I mean, this is at least the third separate time over the course of several years that we're just like, oh fuck, like they're finally going to give Cesaro the push that he deserves, and they always sort of like cock tease.
It's kind of like what they've done with Sheamus recently too, like brought him up just to knock him back down. So your point well taken. I mean, and I'm not saying like Cesaro I think is the better wrestler than Sheamus, but I mean obviously with them together, like there's
but
a little
Sheamus at least has that history of being a former world champion, and like he has those accolades and he has that main event status that Cesaro hasn't had the chance to prove that he deserves yet. Like,
I agree.
We know that because we're, marks for it. But like, does Vince? Does Bruce?
I will say, going back, because we haven't really covered everything at Fastlane yet. Before we get ahead of ourselves, exactly. Before we get ahead of ourselves, talking about exactly what's going on, in regards to Mania, Shin versus Seth was good, not great. And I feel like I say that about almost every Shinsuke match now.
Mm-hmm. Well, can we all agree? Do we all agree that Shin is just sort of phoning it in now?
Riding the wave, baby.
Yeah.
Coming in for the landing.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. No, I think that's the case. And even Seth's matches, to a degree, over the last year or two, like, we know he's capable of some incredible matches, and we've seen them. But they all kind of feel the same. Seth matches aren't the
same move set. And does the same kind of storytelling throughout all of them.
Okay, good.
I have a hot take.
Please.
I am bored to fucking death with Seth fucking Rollins.
Oh, even with his new drip, bro?
Mean the cringe? There's nothing drip about that. That's gonorrhea.
He had one good suit. He had a green, like, plaid suit that I thought was actually pretty sharp.
If he lost the stupid glove?
Oh, no, I like the glove.
I hate the glove.
That's his wanking glove. That's his wanking glove. Everybody's got
a padded knuckle wanking glove.
I hate that thing.
It's so fucking
it is
stupid.
And also, just like, to be honest, kind of an odd choice when Roman, his former Shield mate, also kind of goes with the wrist guard glove thing. Like, just like, at least he turned his gold, and like it's a little bit different. But I don't know. Like, to me, I'm like, like they're both wearing one glove. This last person to get over one glove was Bo. It was Bo, man. It was everybody knows. Like, come on, give me.
Let's do away with the glove, and the way I do away with the glove is we have our boy Reggie rip it off him and slap him across the face with it, and we put
like
Reggie
old school
Seth
duel,
Rollins.
like an old school duel.
Yes.
Yeah.
For being disrespectful, and then Reggie goes over.
And then Reggie gets put over,
and Reggie will teach him some style. And what real drip
and some
is.
class.
Yes.
A little bit of style and class.
I like that idea.
That would actually be a good. I would watch
that.
Seth Rollins, Reggie.
Dude, those two could have a great fucking match.
I don't think we've heard the last from Reggie. That's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah.
That's
No,
all I'm saying about that.
I think as long as Nia's sugar mama in him, he's gonna be good.
Yeah. and all of a sudden, I enjoy watching segments with Nia Jax. So
the fucking backstage dances of like that they're posting on TikTok of him and her fucking.
she can't
dancing.
dance, can she? She can't dance in the slightest.
Well, she can't, dude. She can't wrestle. She can't dance. She can't fucking walk. She can't do a lot of things. But I don't know if she's around.
It's true. It's true.
It's true.
Let's move on a little bit, though, if you don't mind, to the Big E Apollo Crews match, which this was a little disappointing. This is where, of course, Matthew, you truly retain your championship because I did guess that Apollo.
This is
Crews
where we
would
tied.
win.
I just want you to.
Yes,
this is where
yes.
Matthew
That's
and
why
I tied.
That's where I lost.
Yes.
I'll just put it that way.
Yes, this is where I also lost because I didn't win. 'Cause
Yes.
we all know if you're not first, you're last.
You're last.
Not first, you're last.
But it wasn't a bad match, but the finish was weird. Am I the only one with that? Like the finish felt, I mean, it was kind of another roll up, which hey, let's do that again. Something, I don't know if it felt botched or if it just something felt off about it, and it certainly leads me to believe that if it wasn't botched, and even if it was, we're gonna see this again, and that might, culminate in something at Mania. I think Apollo eventually gets this IC title. We were discussing it before you hopped on, Matthew, and it might even be in like a ladder match or something at Mania where Big E doesn't have to take a pin, that type of thing, right? But I think over time, they're doing something with Apollo Crews that they've not been able to do since Mr. Smiley showed up on the scene. And I'm happy for it. Like I think you got a cool, like I like his spear. A lot.
I feel like this is more of his gimmick that he was on the Indies when he was
Oh, really?
Nation. I feel like this is closer to that than he's ever been allowed to be. And it's just like, because I remember when he got signed, like all of the indie fans were just like, oh man, he's a great talent. He's got a lot of skill.
Where was he at then? All over?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100% sure as to where
He wasn't like a Ring of Honor guy or anything.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I did not know him personally, like before any of that. Now, granted, I wasn't super into any of the indies at that stage in my wrestling, watching. But to be honest, I thought he was an NXT homegrown. I didn't even know he wrestled on the indies.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. His name is Sisu Uha. Yeah, and he's legitimately Dragon Gate.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, Dragon Gate. And
what
Dragon
years?
Gate and affiliates, 2011 to 2015.
Damn.
Okay.
So he's around for a lot longer than I thought he was. I mean, it
Fair.
is what it is. I feel like
It was the match. The finish was weird. I don't know if it was just the finish was weird or the camera angle was weird.
right.
I don't.
Yes,
And then
the both shoulders for everybody down.
Well,
I
it
feel
was
like
the
they're
ref, like not maybe it was like
I
who's getting
think
pinned.
that's going to end up being some sort of fuckery, and it'll set up a rematch at Mania.
It looked like they were trying to do the whole gimmick of like maybe both of their shoulders were down. You know that gimmick
Yeah.
where
And
like
if
they both
that's
get
the
pinned,
case,
and then they
then-
argue back and forth as to who's like with the who was
Yeah.
the ref
And
was counting.
honestly, I could see them just saying, "Okay, since we have a discrepancy, then what we're going to do is we are going to put the Intercontinental title up in the ladder match and have that
Yeah.
big multi-man ladder match." I hope they do that.
or at least give them some sort of step to kind of further it along where that can't happen or something.
Right.
I don't know. Like
I think also, before we get too far away from that, I absolutely loved the way that Big E started that match.
Ooh.
I loved
aggressive as
shit-talking,
fuck.
aggressive Big E. That's Like you can give me that all fucking day.
We need more of that big
Yes.
E.
That's the
Absolutely.
That's the big E that eventually wins the world title. Is that big E?
I think so. Yeah.
That's gotta be. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
100%.
yeah.
Aggressive and powerful. Yeah.
And he can still have fun in his promos. You know, he can still talk, but that has to be the wrestling style.
I think that makes perfect sense, allowing him to have a little bit. Like, I think if he has seriousness in the ring, that wrestling style, and then you allow him to be serious in his promos, but then be able to cut the comedy stuff because you know he can, like, and you do it in kind of like that, like, bullish kind of like dickheadish kind of way, you know, like that's how you kind of get it. Like, you can come off as funny, you can do these things, and it's just like it will work really well. And then he just backs it up in the ring, you know,
right?
Or you could end up maybe doing like this like nicer guy on the outside. He's just like playing you, like being nice and like joking around, and then every time it comes down, he is just a force to be reckoned with. Like, you know, it's like, oh, this guy's like, he's like a big cuddly teddy bear, you know, like type of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
And
he's always joking around.
Get
like,
in
every time he gets in the ring,
get in people's heads with that.
And he doesn't. Yeah, and like he's just like, no, this is no joke. Like, we're in the ring. Like, I could joke around out there, but I'm not joking around in here.
Exactly.
Like, that's almost like the tagline, you know? Like,
oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Absolutely.
Let's go to a little bit of Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. Oh wait, not so much Shane McMahon. Elias is getting
you know, that
sacrificed.
That made it
to
so
the
much
wolves.
better.
Oh, it made it so much better. We all want everything to do with this match. No, we don't. We don't want to see this at Mania, even though it's clearly now been booked. The only really thing that we can say about the Braun Strowman match was 2 words, Duncan. Chew.
Choo, choo.
Dude, putting in those, that was ridiculous. They should never do that again.
They did it on Raw. Did they do it on Raw? Yeah,
they did it on
Raw. Like, that's a new thing.
So we're doing that now,
they even did it where on Raw they had the sound of the, you know, like the train on the tracks before they did that. Yeah, they did a chicka 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 before the choo.
See, exactly. Harness it. Exactly.
He's so bad.
Matt, so jealous right now, Matthew. Exactly. That's how I feel.
It is what it is. It is what it is. I feel bad for Braun. Last night they also did on Raw. They did a whole song where I think it was just "Braun is Stupid" is the song that Shane and Elias wrote together. You have to hear it.
Of course, it's probably like on.
Here's the thing,
iTunes.
too. It wasn't even the worst song on Monday Night Raw that was played, and I'll get to some of that a little later.
I hope they do a remix with Bad Bunny.
Well, that's the other one that needs to be.
Get there.
We're gonna get there.
But yeah, like, also the choo-choo train sound effect is not doing anything to disprove Shane's point that Braun is stupid.
That's true.
God damn it, you're right.
Do you think that then becomes the storyline? Is Shane's the one?
There's no way they're that smart.
No.
There's no way they're that clever. I want them to be. There's no way. If my high
like he
ass
comes
is
out
just
of Mania
like,
and he's like, I'm the one who's been playing
he
that.
He comes out in the conductor's hat and like the overalls, and he just like he's on like a little toy train and he rides.
Like a
it.
Now that I'd be into. If he came down the ring like Shotzi has her tank, Braun's got a little choo-choo train.
Like the tank engine.
That would be all right.
It's just got Braun's dumb face on it.
Yeah. No, I think you said it last week, Duncan, but the only reason that this match exists at WrestleMania is for Shane McMahon to jump off something high, to do a stunt.
To steal KO's thunder, to jump off the pirate ship.
Yeah, where the hell is he on the card? But we'll get to that.
And also, like, just when we thought, or I thought, they couldn't have done anything else to hurt Braun and his character anymore, they pull some shit like that.
Then he's got the gunge.
The choo-choo gunge train,
the
man.
gunge from the last podcast. That was still getting me all the way through. I can't believe you guys call it the gunge over there.
I had never even heard it myself. It was news to me.
Owen's Welsh. If it doesn't have something to
Yeah.
do with fucking sheep, he's not really sure.
Yeah. Fucking old world over
not
there.
really interested.
Yeah. Is just like, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
So then we get to, of course, Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton, which leads to, I think, one of the most decisive things that have come across in wrestling in quite some time.
Did we just skip over like
Yes, we
Drew
do.
and Sheamus? Okay.
Drew and Sheamus was Drew and Sheamus. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
good.
It was a
Stuff
good
blew up.
battle. It was I liked the getting thrown. I forgot who threw who. I think Sheamus got thrown through the Thunderdome
LEDs.
LED walls or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, Sheamus got yoked through that, and then they
Yeah.
had the ramp with carpet on it, which was very nice.
There were parts of the match that were good. It served its purpose. Wasn't bad. Looked like they beat the living hell out of each other for real.
It was 3 or 4 minutes too long.
It was fine. It was what it was. It was,
Yeah.
and it was. It was probably a couple minutes too long. You're right.
It was the second longest match of the night.
Wow. Well, I mean, looking at the card, it would make sense, to be honest. But, yeah, Bliss and Orton, supernatural, half cinematic kind of, half, match. I mean, wasn't really a match, whatever you want to call it, really. I don't know.
I know what I wanted to call it.
What?
Fucking awesome.
Boner Fest?
I loved it. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I love all that goofy, dumb shit. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Got the flash paper, you got the...
Oh, you got flash paper, you got fucking pyro jets, you got Garrett rigging shit falling down.
Yeah, you got
like
things falling from the ceiling.
Gee, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was exactly what I expected to happen.
Yeah.
And I also was a fan of the way that they brought the Fiend back.
Yeah, well, that's really what this whole match was intended to kind of do, was it not?
Of course.
I mean, it was intended to bring back the Fiend and a new incarnation of the Fiend. What are we calling him? Fried Fiend? Crispy
Fried
Fiend? Fried
the Fried Fiend.
Fried Fiend. A lot of people don't like it.
I know.
A lot of people don't like it.
And that's okay.
That's fine. I'm
I
surprised.
loved it.
I thought it was cool. And it's
I
continuity.
think you couldn't have done the Fiend in the incarnation he was in any longer. In all reality,
Right.
that had obviously run its course, and I think, I mean, this will run its course, and it will have to be at a certain point. They need to handle it well, not like the Braun thing,
Right.
but they have been handling it well. The one thing I am upset about is that it doesn't give me that Firefly Funhouse match that I thought I was going to get at Mania, which would have Cena still in there and like all of those things. It doesn't get me that. And that was like my wishful thinking and what I really wanted. It does, I hope, just
But
get
hold on.
done with Randy Orton for a little bit.
But think about this. What if it's still a Firefly Funhouse match, but instead of the mouthpiece being Bray, Firefly Funhouse Bray, it's Alexa as the sort of the guide through the funhouse, and Fried Fiend is in there. And I think that Fried Fiend will be in there, regular Fiend will be in there, Husky Harris will be in there.
I think what we're going to see is a retrospective of Bray and Randy's feuds throughout the years.
Because they have gone back a very long time.
And
it's why I just said also at the beginning. That, like, I kind of hope this is the end.
I still think you can have Cena still stuck in there. I think you could still do a gag if you wanted to with that.
I think you absolutely could, but I do agree with your point, Matthew. I think that
you can't do Bray and Orton anymore after this.
No,
it has to end it, please.
Let this be the final resting place for it.
And that's why I agree with Owen in that it will be sort of that like retrospective of like all of their, and it'll be a Funhouse style match of like, going back to like Bike Shorts Randy and fucking like Husky Harris Bray.
Yeah.
And like,
and then when Randy joined, like, the Wyatt family, and then you've got the worm match that we all saw,
and
then you got the
House of
Horrors and everything.
Yeah.
Like all of
Like-
that will play in.
And it'll be a very good way to finalize that feud.
I also think, in the same way that we've enjoyed that Bray has not been on TV for a while, and he's been written off because of the whole being set on fire. Like that's been a good. It was
It's
like
a
a
good reason to be written off.
Yeah,
too.
4 months too. 4
Yeah.
months.
It was like a perfect amount of time
It
for
was.
him to be off, and
It
like
was December.
It's a solid amount of time, especially coming back now.
Mm-hmm.
I think you kind of need to do that now with Randy.
Yeah.
I think Randy's been on TV so much during the pandemic, and he had his feud with Drew, and now again with Bray.
Well, he had his
like,
feud with Edge, and then he had his feud
Jesus.
with Drew, and
Like,
then he had his right.
Hold on. What about this? Night 1, they do the Firefly Funhouse with the Fiend and Alexa and Randy.
they've said
And
that is
then-
night 2, by the way, though.
Well, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just booking this, the way I would book it, which is, Vince, take notes. Night 2, you do the second best wrestling match in the world ever, in history of all time, and you do Edge
Part 2.
and Randy Orton Part 2, and
Yeah.
you do it after Edge is in the main event, and then you're like, double main event. We're gonna have
Surprise.
45 minutes of bullshit for you.
God damn it.
Because we couldn't let this wrestling thing go because we fucking did it 24/7 for fucking 8 weeks straight for WrestleMania week,
I like your point. Did you also hear about how Randy's...
followed by Legends Night.
Yeah, yeah. Randy's never invited to Legends Night. We know that because
Yeah. He's a legend killer.
that would not work. That would not
Legend
work.
Killer
It
is
would
not allowed at
obviously not
Legends.
work.
He's not
Yeah.
allowed there. But do you guys hear about how Randy's wife is pissed at Alexa's pin?
Yeah, she sent a tweet out. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, I think it's totally a joke, obviously. But
It's obviously a joke,
Yeah.
but I thought that
They're
it
trying
was
to
well
promote their
played.
shitty clothing company.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But no, I mean when I saw that with Alexa sitting on Randy's dick to pin him, I was just like, you know what?
I said we all know who the real winner
Yeah.
is, and it's Randy.
It's Randy.
The first time he's ever not had a problem with doing the job. Which, let's be real, who's got a problem with Alexa straddling him?
Never.
If that's what you're into.
And you literally just did like the Randy Orton.
Yeah, you did. You even did the lean. You did the lean and
Yeah.
everything. Moving on to an actual good wrestling match, a real good wrestling match. The main event was surprising, guys. I mean, I guess it wasn't because of the two people that were in there, but
Was it
The
surprising?
way the finish they did, I really like. I didn't see it coming. I mean, the way that they did it.
the more I've kind of thought about it, the more I do like it. I wasn't a super big fan of the finish at the time because I guess I just there were so many occasions where Daniel Bryan had, like the psychology of the match had brought it to the point where, oh my God, like I really thought like D-Bry might win this, and then
Yeah,
it-
that's
you know,
what they
my-
wanted to happen.
of course they did, but
Well, and they're all fucking. They're pros out there, and like I mean, for as much shit as we gave Roman for so
Oh.
long,
Yeah.
that's
worker, and
over.
the dude can
That's
tell
so
a story,
over
and
now,
fucking
yeah.
Daniel can fucking tell a story. Like it's, I mean, those are two really good workers who've done this a long time. Like being able to take us on that ride and tell the story in the ring, which is what fucking pro wrestling is about. Like we can tell all
Absolutely.
these stories and do all these other things, but when you start doing things in the ring and can keep our attention and keep us guessing, even smarks like us who are going like,
Right.
he might
Nitpick
actually win it.
everything,
Like
yeah.
that's what it's about.
Right.
Oh,
Right?
and just the you got to see again just how good Daniel Bryan is,
Oh
like
my
with his
God.
grappling form, and I mean beyond his grappling form, again the storytelling, like every bit of him trying to like go like Roman into these moves because he knows if he can get him in these holds, Roman can't out wrestle him, but
Right.
Roman can outpower him, and like everything about that was fantastic. Do you see it as a Edge heel turn with everything? Because
I know a lot of people are just like, I think that's like
I'm that way.
I think that it's pretty clear that you have to put the Edge has always been a dick.
Oh, without a doubt. He's always had a dick side to him.
He's the ultimate opportunist. He's like, you know what I mean?
Rated
like
R superstar, all those things.
He's got all those taglines attached to him for a reason. And even when we all love Edge, but even when he was a face, he was never a face for very long.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that you play into he got his big feel good moment at the Rumble, right? Like he's had his I'm a babyface making my return. Now it's no, I still want to win this fucking belt and I'll do whatever it takes.
And I'm pissed off at you, Daniel Bryan, for stealing my spotlight in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you play up the ego part of it.
I think that's kind of what's going to happen. Do we all agree that it's likely going to become a triple threat?
It's the right thing.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, I mean, with all.
I just don't think you do. I just don't think you do that finish without making it a triple threat.
I don't think you can. I don't think you.
There's no reason for that.
Which I think also makes it, if you're going to have Roman drop the belt, you can do it in a triple threat match. It makes sense. He doesn't have to lose clean.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't have to lose as the head of the table. You can let one of them take it through some fuckery, right?
Yeah, sure, of course.
And you can still have him get it back. You know, because I mean, let's be honest. Edge doesn't need, if he wins the title, he does not need to carry that thing for a long time. Sure, he could carry it for a couple of months, and even Daniel Bryan, if he wins it,
almost exactly the same situation.
Exactly the same thing. Let him have a couple of months run with it. But Roman's going to be pissed the entire time, and he's going to, be take him out, and then they're finally going to give him the shot, at the next big one.
It gives them time to put Roman in some feuds that the title isn't attached to. You know what I mean? If you take the belt off of Roman at Mania, they've done away with the automatic rematch clauses, so you can have Roman sort of screw him out of a rematch with whoever wins the title, and then Roman has to work his way back up. And then it's progression.
I can kind of see that, but I also think of it like this too: is that are they really going to have Edge go full face into Mania full heel into Mania when Roman is clearly the biggest heel in recent years in the company?
Yeah, I think they absolutely will.
Really,
because then Daniel Bryan is the clear
foil
face, and is the foil.
But what if it goes the other way, and against the odds of two heels, Daniel Bryan has that one more moment?
I think it is. I think if they make it a triple threat, it's Daniel Bryan. I don't think anything.
So you think Daniel Bryan would win that?
Yes.
Oh wow.
100%.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
I think that
that's it. Yeah, that's it for him. And this is his final win.
It's swan song and his final. Yeselmania or what have you.
What better way to do it with him and Edge? That it writes itself. Which, by the way, Owen, I've said it before that you've been taking on the Daniel Bryan persona as you've been growing out the beard and the hair and everything. You are in full tree hugger Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
you talk about being outdoors on the OHNO radio show, like you're an outdoorsman.
Yeah.
You're wearing flannel.
Meth Rollins all the way though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see the whole.
It's when he's got the ponytail.
Yeah, you don't really see it. When you get it.
When you got that.
Yeah. When I got it fully back, then you get a little bit more of that.
The flannel throws it off. It disguises the fact that he's actually a cult leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
These
We
are.
talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of shoes are you wearing?
Oh, don't ask. Don't ask.
Hmm.
We'll move on though a little
why
bit.
did you have me order purple sheets for you? This is weird.
Yeah.
What is this that I'm drinking?
As
You
per-
had it sent.
This
You
is-
had it sent to my room.
Well, as long as they got it to you, that's all that matters.
You said, yeah, and you said drink it at what time is it? 9:48 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, I'm glad you're following instructions properly, like you need to be.
It's about goddamn time.
So we'll move on with more of just kind of how Mania is shaping up, and now that we kind of have after this last Raw and Fastlane, we do at least they did a pretty good job in like the span of 24 hours of giving us a pretty general idea of, I'd say 60-70% of what we're going to be seeing. Would you agree with that?
Mania?
Yeah.
There are 8 matches announced.
So they
for-
probably
For the 2 nights.
for 2 nights.
So they probably add 6 more. Maybe a little less. Maybe probably even 5.
No,
They're gonna add a battle royale to that too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for sure they're going to add a battle royal to it, but I think you probably end up with 7 to 8 matches per night.
Okay. So we're about halfway there.
Yeah, I'd say we're halfway there.
I think we're about halfway there. I do like that we've got, of course, Rhea and Asuka. That seems like it is
Yes.
happening.
I'm glad we have a WrestleMania main event without Charlotte Flair in it.
And we'll get to
Who
her in
had
just a
COVID.
second. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was about to say we'll get to her.
COVID's a
Unfortunate.
cover story. She's leaving the company to go be with her man.
Yeah. Definitely. They're both not even going to go wrestling. They're
Charlotte
just-
to AEW confirmed.
Confirmed. You guys heard it here
Heard
first.
it here first.
Don't get through it out there.
That's
Yeah.
it.
But Rhea versus Asuka is going to be, I think, very good. And I'd be very upset, and I don't think it will happen at this point. I'd be very upset if they do add a third to it. I don't think they will. If it was to be anybody, it would be Charlotte. And it wouldn't be terribly surprising if last minute Charlotte weasels her way into that match. She's the
Yeah,
only one that
but-
could.
However, if they make the Roman and Edge match a triple threat with Daniel Bryan, then
you
that
don't-
would put 2 triple threats.
Yeah, you don't
for
want
both
that.
heavyweight, or for both, champions.
Women and men's. Yeah, that
for
would
the
be
Universal
stupid.
And that would be very stupid.
I don't like that either. I mean, and it would be different brands, but by the same point, at WrestleMania, it doesn't really matter. I feel like they're going to have the brands, cross on both days. It's not like we're going to have one
no,
day
it's not
that's
a Raw
all
night
Raw
and
night. And yeah, no.
If you
so-
look at it, that's how it's split up, right?
Right.
It's like it's sort of evenly split up with Raw and SmackDown
Yeah.
on either night so far.
are we all in
Well, and
agreement?
they're smart to do it that way anyway, because some people watch SmackDown, some people we pay attention to it all, but I'm sure there are people who are, and especially kids, who are more loyal to SmackDown over Raw or something like that. So it makes
Right.
sense to have them tune in both nights.
And probably for kids, they're going to be more, I would guess, on the SmackDown side just because it's on a Friday
That's
night
what I would-
and they can stay
That's
up.
what I would think.
Yeah.
You know, it would be that way when I was that age, but we've got to have Rhea win this, right? Rhea can't take a second loss at Mania in the same way that she
She
took it last year to
Should not.
Charlotte.
Definitely should not.
Nah, I feel like Asuka's done a great job. This is one of the titles that changes at Mania. I think it's got to be Rhea Ripley, and I think it establishes her. Now she might not even have to keep it for that long, few month
See,
reign.
and
or-
I think that she should keep it for a long time.
I want her
Because
to.
But I think that every time we say, well, they don't need to keep it for a long time, it's just like we're just placating them using the belts as props and
Yeah.
not as actual titles.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but we know. I think we say that because we know what they do. It's not that we're advocating for it. It's just literally, I think, us thinking ahead and well, this is probably the way that they will,
But I think you have to, in my mind, you have to do it because someone like Asuka or Charlotte Flair like the people, the women that they have on the roster who have held that title, have held it for long amounts of time. They've been running that women's division for years too. And you have to bring new life into it. How do you do that? Are you going to do both belts? Are you going to do Bianca Belair? And are you going to do Rhea Ripley? And like when you do that, you need to let them have some runs with it and actually establish them as like new women, like
Top
new
tier.
players in the women's division. And you're not, that way we're not saying what we said at the beginning of this conversation a few minutes ago, which is, yeah, Charlotte will work her way back in, and you know, it's you know, like those types of things where it's like, yeah, well, Asuka isn't doing anything for Mania, and we got to get her in there, and it's like, yeah, and it's like, granted, both great athletes, great wrestlers, and we've liked what they've done, you know, to a certain extent, you know, over the course of the years. And I'm not saying get them out of the picture, but the women's division in WWE, for as much as we've talked shit until, you know, we saw this last match, obviously in AEW, and the fact that they haven't developed their women's division as much as we've wanted them to, WWE's women division has gotten pretty fucking stale. And it's gotten pretty fucking stale because they've kept with the stars that they've had. It's not that those stars are bad.
Minus
it's
NXT, really.
Yeah, they haven't, exactly. So they haven't gotten those stars in. So it's this is the time, and really establish them as fucking like you said, Duncan, top tier athletes, like top tier women's wrestlers.
Yeah, and going to your point, I think that's exactly why you do change both women's titles at Mania.
I'm just getting worried because, like you just said, changing both women's titles, you're also talking about like changing the title with Roman, putting it on Debray. I personally think that Drew takes it from Lashley. Like, are we going to change all these titles?
Why the fuck not?
I mean,
you also didn't. Yeah, you didn't do a lot of title changes at Fastlane, which I was waiting for Duncan to come over the. I'm in the fast lane. Like,
I've been riding the fast lane.
He hasn't written that one yet.
I think every pay-per-view, I'm always going to be like making it up in my head now.
Yeah,
I like how you went with Retribution, not Revolution.
No, because they're not the same brand.
Oh, gotcha. Well.
He writes his lyrics very brand specifically.
Yeah. Because when we're talking about AEW, it's Revolution.
That's way different. It's way different than this. Way different. I don't. Yeah. I mean, if you
Retribution.
Definitely different.
It's like when you play Under Pressure and Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah.
Like
one's dun 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 dun, like,
and the other one is dun 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 dun.
Yeah. Totally different. I hear it.
I hear it. Your ass over a balcony.
So let's also talk about Bad Bunny versus The Miz.
I quit.
Now that we're talking about rap music.
Yeah. John Morrison's going to get involved somehow.
Did either of you...
Do you think they end up doing this tag match?
Okay. It seems like it's just going to be Bad Bunny versus The Miz.
Which Bad Bunny, I mean, I know he's a fan, and I just hope he's been hitting the mats.
I think he has
too, but I don't think I could.
I know he's been doing some stuff at the PC, so they're doing enough to get him through a 4-minute match or something with The Miz. That Damian Priest and
skull crushing finale,
or yeah, I mean, I think Bad Bunny
Miz
wins.
Will lose that.
Yeah,
match.
Yeah, Bad Bunny will win that match, and Damian Priest will get involved. John Morrison will do something stupid to cost The Miz, and it will be exactly what we think it will.
And the whole world will exalt, except for us, because we don't really understand Bad Bunny. So I certainly don't.
I don't either. I gotta say, I really hate how, because I've been watching a lot of Lucha Underground lately, and John Morrison is Johnny Mundo in that series, and it's ridiculous how good he is in Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
And how
underused and how trashed he was in the WWE back then and now.
At least back then he got like more pushes and he
got
had
an IC title run.
Like, but now it's just like, oh.
Did you guys see that segment maybe on, I know you guys probably didn't watch Raw live, but I'm sure they put it on the YouTube now, where Miz and Morrison are debuting a new hit song next week.
Christ.
that is.
Did you just call it the YouTube like an old
He
person?
did.
Yeah.
They put it on the YouTube.
They put it on the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
They put it-
It's with
Yeah.
his programs. He's got to watch his programs on.
I
the YouTube.
Snapchatted it. That program.
I put it into the
YouTube.
Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
now
asked Jeeves.
it's like, hey hop hop, hey hop hop, and I think is what it's called. It's a Bad Bunny.
I read about it and I heard it was actually kind of funny.
It was sort of funny. They're both
With the
wearing stupid bunny suits.
They should have had Macaulay Culkin in his bunny ears.
Well,
doing
Yeah.
a
Well, the
video.
best tweet I've seen about it since is been from MJF, because remember when
Christ.
when they did the
Oh,
Christmas story,
They did the Christmas story, yeah.
and so someone has done the Miz, like the poster for the match of Miz versus Bad Bunny, and they've used the picture of MJF in his what is it, Ralphie costume
Yeah,
from
the Ralphie suit.
the Ralphie suit from from Christmas
That's
story.
amazing.
And it's the typical, if any motherfucker sends me this, I'm fucking killing him." Yeah, whatever he
Like,
said.
stop sending me this shit.
Stop sending me this shit. One of those. So I did find that amusing, of course.
That's so good.
Not exactly thrilled for that, but overall, I think Mania. There's some possibilities of some good matches here. I'm kind of disappointed that we haven't seen anything from Kevin Owens and how like
I mean, they're kind of setting up him and Sami Zayn match
again, which is fine because they'll always deliver. But
Do you think they're pre-show? Because that's what I think.
Yeah, they put it on pre-show.
and then like apart from it seems really weird what they're like WWE is apt to do, but it's always weird with the tag team division. Now we've got the New Day just taking it off the Street Profits, right? Was it Street Profit? Yeah. No.
No.
Wait. Yep. Wait. No.
No, Street Profits dropped to the Dirty Dogs. To Dolphin.
Yeah. Who did the
Robert
New
Roode.
Day just beat then for the tag titles?
The Hurt Business.
Yes, that's what it
Yeah,
was. It was
I
the
was-
Hurt Business. Thank you on that. That sucks. I mean, I guess it doesn't. I mean, it's the New Day. We always like the New Day.
versus Almost and AJ. Like,
Almost an AJ. Like, I don't think I
That's
need.
you know what that is? That's this year's Braun and Nicholas.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
No.
don't want it to be, but like
I don't know. What if when Braun is doing the choo-choo and they have the sound effects, Nicholas is the conductor?
Well, and they ride the train down.
Take my money.
And yeah,
just take my
he
money.
just brings down the
Right?
train. He brings down the
Well,
train.
and we're taking you to Moneytown, and Shane McMahon is obviously the mayor and founder of that town. And
Did you see Shane's shirt on Raw that had like it was Braun's Strowman Express shirt, but he like crossed out
stupid.
Strowman and he put stupid.
Yeah.
Like
It's
God,
so bad.
damn
It's
it.
actually kind of amusing, I guess.
it would be amusing if it was anybody but Shane.
Yeah.
I don't need Shane McMahon involved in WrestleMania.
And at least the banter between what's going on with New Day and AJ and Omos, like, is funny. Like the way, like the stuff that they're doing was actually pretty good. The match that AJ had with Kofi the other night was good.
Right.
Everything that the goddamn Xavier was doing on the outside was hilarious. Like, I don't know if you saw the spot where AJ's about to like finish him off with the phenomenal forearm, about to do it, and then Xavier pulls out Francesca and right as he's about to like do the jump off
Does
the
the
rope,
sad
it
trombone noise.
yeah. And it fucks up AJ, and he's like, it distracts him, and leading to Kofi, of course, winning the match. So I
Love
think
that.
there's like potential in that, but I also feel bad for like Almost if he doesn't win that like his first match in the company. Now, granted, it would be for a tag belt at WrestleMania. That's asking a lot, but
I was gonna say.
and for him and AJ to hold the like.
yeah.
I don't see a story arc in that run.
Right. And that's one I don't see. Like I can see them changing a lot of titles at Mania. I don't necessarily see that being one of them.
I agree. But what do we do with the other tag titles? Do they even have a match?
Pre-show, night 2.
It's got to be something. I mean, maybe even do it. Could you do that as like a multi-tag ladder match or something? Like,
You could. It's going to end up being them versus the Street Profits.
and the Street Profits will more than likely get it back on.
Probably.
That's
at
going to be
Mania.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to shoot 1 million solo cups from cannons around the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be literally. No, they're going to shoot them from the cannons in the pirate ship.
Yes.
Oh,
Which
there
would
you go.
actually be really fucking cool.
That would actually be pretty cool.
Like they're up there in these like pirate get-ups with like the fucking hats and the whole shebang.
I'm going to be interested to see how much they let that pirate ship into play, by the way, because it was interesting at the Super Bowl that they even had to cover it up because they didn't want one team to have home advantage. This was like a first time that a home team had defended at their stadium, so they wouldn't let them use their own like cannon thing. Like whenever they scored a touchdown.
I get that though.
I get it too, but I'm wondering that's more of an NFL thing, but I'm wondering if like how touchy they are with WWE playing around with that
it's
pirate
Florida.
shit.
There's no laws. If if it weren't for the NFL, you know what I mean? Like fucking those
that was probably more of an NFL thing than it was.
Those cannons would have been painted to look like Tom Brady and Gronk's dicks
Yeah,
shooting
right.
out fucking every time they scored a touchdown.
Well put, sir. Let's talk a little bit, move on from Mania and talk about, well, I mean, it probably relates a little bit, but let's talk about the Andrade release, the biggest probably news of a roster member in this past couple weeks. We obviously knew he asked for his release at the time of the last show, but but at that time, I believe it was still considered denied.
Yeah, they had said,
And, well, how that has turned around quickly and the conditions of that have been turned around quickly.
It's crazy.
And
Charlotte threatened to come backstage and cough on everyone, including her dad. And then they were like, all right, we need another Legends night. We need
I think
Ric Flair.
all of the diseases that Ric Flair has probably had in his life.
He's COVID immune. He's COVID immune, without a doubt.
He's the guy who ate the bat, let's be honest.
It could have been him. Yeah.
And he ate it snatch first.
We've all seen the South Park. Like the Randy Marsh is actually Ric Flair. He's fucking that pangolin. Yeah. Like that. I'm sure that has something to do with it. But in all seriousness, do we think, like, in all honesty, that Charlotte must have had something to do with the such great terms that not only does he get his release, accepted, but doesn't have a non-compete with another company with WWE?
I think it was Charlotte through Ric Flair. I think she could say something and he could back it up. I don't think there's like a threat, but I think it's coming from the Flair family and not just Charlotte. Yeah. Coming from Rick as well. Like, can you please do this? And that also leads me to believe that they gave up something like that is not being reported. There's something that was worked in.
It's unprecedented though, right? We all agree with that. Like, this does not sound like a typical WWE release or contract.
I mean, we're living in unprecedented times.
Oh God. The non-compete clause is something that would have been in his contract. That's not something that's not
could be negotiable. That's something that could be.
I think that's they probably have that standard in everyone's contract.
They have
that's what I'm thinking. Like,
but I think that when he negotiated his initial contract, that he negotiated, if for some reason I am released from my contract, I want no compete clause. I don't think it was WWE.
I don't think WWE would have taken that. I think they would have.
I don't think that Charlotte and
I think
I don't think they have the sway because Vince doesn't give that much of a shit. Like Vince's dick is bigger, and he's like, if he wants to be petty like that, he'll be petty like that.
He's
So I
held it for so many people. It just makes me think that like someone was able to say something to say he is going to give up this, or she is going to do, like, she is now giving you both of her ovaries and every egg ever produced.
I mean,
And
maybe,
like,
yeah, and you can clone Charlotte Flairs in perpetuity.
But I'm saying, like,
What if
when
Charlotte
has
said,
that-
"I'll
when- like,
sign an extra
When has that
2
ever
years or
happened?
3?
And they've done it for like way less talent. They've held on to those non-competes, and I think you don't just say, like, how did he negotiate that up front? There's
But see, I don't think that it's something that they would have just. I don't think that unless it was in his contract to begin with, like, there's no way. The only way is
both of you make great points on this, by the way. I'm in the middle.
Is that Vince sees Andrade the way that JR sees Andrade, and they think that his only claim to fame is that he is dating Charlotte.
Well,
that's the
and
only way I can think of.
The thing that makes me on your side, because you're making good points on all of this, like, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, because I just also think that, like, as far as contract negotiations go, like, something has fucking happened that's out of the ordinary here, whether it's up front like you're talking about or whether it's on the back end. Who the fuck's to say? But I think that fucking now I just forgot to the point you just stated. I was like in agreement with you too.
I mean, it could literally be either way.
What
right?
if it was something like he signed an original contract when he joined NXT, but he saw so many people when he was coming up to the main roster that it wasn't working?
You got it?
I got it.
That
I didn't mean to. Yeah.
That maybe
But
he
why-
at
but-
that
but
point
why
when he
is he-
joined the
but-
main
okay,
roster was able to
but why-
negotiate
why is he
something
the
without
one?
that.
Why is he the one?
Why
And-
not?
and-
Nobody else is trying.
No, he is the one, because to your point, Duncan, which I had just forgotten about a second ago, and perfect that lead in right there, nice segue, Captain. It's because Vince didn't give a fuck about it, because he couldn't speak English well. He didn't do the things that Vince wanted. So, like, maybe this is the one guy that, like, literally checked or did not check as many boxes as Vince is looking for in somebody, that Vince literally gave 0 fucks.
Yeah, that's
And
the
like,
only thing.
and
Could
so
be. Yeah,
that's-
no, that fits. That
good way to
fits.
look at it. I mean,
Because, like, I just don't.
he didn't see him as a star. He doesn't
Right.
see him as a threat. He doesn't think he can go to another promotion.
Even
and
though
he's
they
not
gave him, even though they gave him the U.S. title, right? Like, but his run wasn't very long, wasn't very strong, for that matter. Triple H had a lot more faith in him on the NXT roster. He was floundering before Zelina Vega.
But then, last year he was on almost every single episode of Raw with Garza and Vega and like.
But then as soon, what is the one key thing that ties all of that together?
Can't speak English.
It's Zelina Vega.
Yeah.
Because he was not doing well in NXT at all before Zelina Vega showed up to be his mouthpiece. And then as soon as Zelina Vega's gone.
When I saw him, either it was debut or just in the first couple of weeks.
He debuted at a house show in Tampa.
Right.
And then he...
When I saw him at the pay-per-view,
it
was his pay-per-view debut. Let's call it
his
that.
His pay-per-view debut was in
NXT, and well, either way, when I saw him, it wasn't too far afterwards, and he was wearing that dumb, sparkly fedora hat. He was face as fuck. He had I didn't like him. I'll be honest. It was like, okay, clearly this guy's got talent, but because
they were pushing the CN and
there's no character there,
Had, like the $100 bill on his Tron.
I forgot he was CN. Yeah.
Andrade CN Almas.
Yep.
So no, you're 100% right. And then once they brought Zelina Vega in, you know what I mean, and he started going more heel,
right?
And then he started being able to have that mouthpiece, and he could just worry about wrestling.
I would personally, I don't know if it'll ever happen, but this is, total fanboy shit. I kind of want to see that act work in a different company. And I know everybody's going to think like I mean AEW straight off the bat.
Confirmed.
And I would like to see that. But I would like to see that elsewhere as well. I think that like that act can work in multiple places.
Yeah.
And I think they would, both of them can do it on their own without a doubt. But I think there's a precedence that's been set with the two of them that they clearly work very well together. And New Japan's not doing too well financially right now. They're not selling very many tickets, even at the limited shows that they're having. So they don't have a very big budget, according to Big Bad Dave. Ring of Honor is not working a ton of shows right now. I don't know that they've got a lot of money. AAA and CMLL, okay, he returns to Mexico. Sure, it makes sense. But he's probably not going to get that much money. What's the one place? It is AEW. It is AEW that would be the one place that he can get that much money.
But allow him to do like AAA and stuff like that, or like, or maybe he's more affiliated and is.
Especially now the door's kicked open.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I wouldn't say that I would be very upset if I saw an Andrade Penta match or an Andrade Phoenix match or anything like that. Like I think those would be cool matches to see.
Yeah, you can bring him in. I think absolutely, and you can take him anywhere on his own. But if they were able to work together and take that act on the road, I think a lot of people would be very happy with it, myself included.
I think the only way that the only company that they go to as a pair or as a package deal right now would be AEW. It's the only one. Mostly because like Ring of Honor, even when they're running, because they're running shows every week, but they don't have a crowd. They're still empty.
Right.
Empty arena or whatever shows.
Well, and there was that talk before Revolution, like a week or two.
Revolution.
It was like there was that. It was press conference or podcast or something. Tony Khan was on it, and they were asking him about Zelina Vega, and they were saying have you spoken to her? And he's like, oh, I don't talk to anyone while they're still under contract or something like that. No compete. And they were like, oh, well, it just expired. And he was like, I mean, I would be wanting to have a conversation with her. And I can look this up in a second, but I remember reading that article.
I remember that. It was a couple months ago. Yeah.
And he kind of alluded to is that the red herring? Like he just kind of played it as
might be.
I mean, I would talk to her. Like I'd be interested, but I just don't know when it's like you very well know you have the money to pay people to tell you when that contract ends if you're interested.
I will also say this. I think, there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, Andrade's got a non-compete. He's showing up on Dynamite this Wednesday. I'm like, no, he's probably not. No, he's probably not.
Wrestling Miro. And
we know the AEW works with their contracts quick, so it's not outside of the realm of possibility. But let's also be real. He's probably been hanging out with Charlotte, who has COVID, if we're led to believe the reports. I'm sure they either live together or see each other fairly frequently, being together and all that. So I don't, Tony Khan has been pretty, maybe in a couple weeks, maybe at the next pay-per-view, maybe, take some time off, do your thing, whatever. But I doubt we see Andrade on Dynamite this Wednesday is kind of what I'm saying. But
I would love to see Andrade show up at AEW and hook up with Kingston.
Ooh. I mean, you could do it with the Lucha Bros too, probably.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you could do that.
And apparently Pac is hurt. So.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, Pac's hurt, so it's going to be a little bit before they get their tag opportunity. So I don't know. I can see that, and
I could just see some other cool matches with him and him and Jungle Boy. I think could do a fucking cool match. Like, right? Like, out of all, I'm like, oh, that actually, I kind of really want to watch
him
that.
and
Darby.
Him and Kenny would have a great.
Yeah,
match.
but Kenny and anyone.
Well, that's a fair point.
Kenny has literally had a good match with a fucking blow up doll.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
Very true. And a little girl.
Exactly.
But there's no shortage at this point of people that he could have programs with in AEW that would work and would also kind of make sense. I kind of also like, you mentioned Miro at the beginning of that, Duncan. Matthew, did you mention Miro? My bad. I kind of like the idea of two ex-WWE guys coming into a promotion and having a feud over, no, I was here and I came over from the other one, and like having this bit of a rivalry based on, I know you don't want to play up that we were in the other promotion thing, but not necessarily who was here first. But
can it be that tongue in cheek?
But based on, they get so much criticism of bringing in, there's the TNA factor, bringing in the WWE guys to be big names and what have you, but almost have the battle of the bigger name in it, in a sense, without saying it without saying it. I think there's a way you can kind of do that.
I think AEW does that already. Like, they are really good about mentioning WWE without mentioning WWE. You know what I mean? It's just like,
unless you're JR and you say WWE Championship.
Well, JR's a fucking idiot.
Dumb old man.
He is like,
decided. He's getting to that point.
He literally came out on his podcast today and downplaying Andrade and legitimately said his only claim to fame is that he's dated Charlotte Flair. And I've got.
Do you have Wikipedia and have you ever even watched a match of his then, JR? Because it sounds like you haven't.
So that's like it's so funny when I listen to like Tony and JR and Excalibur on commentary. There was one time, and I wish I'd written it down because I actually thought when I heard it, I was like, I need to write this down this moment so I could bring it up on the podcast at some point. But someone showed up recently and they had no fucking, and like they knew no
goddamn clue who it was.
They knew the name because they were told. And then Tony and they were like, JR said something which proved he had zero clue. Tony said it's blah blah blah, and then he said Excalibur, fill us in.
I do remember this. I can't remember who it is.
I can't remember who it was either, and it was recent. It was in like the past 2 months or something past 2 or 3 months. And he was like,
was it a female? Was it I think it might have been one of the female wrestlers.
I'm like, and then Excalibur obviously knows and is like, this person did it. No, it was a guy, and they're like, this. He was like, this person was this champion and this and did. I was like, they had zero clue. They just were told this person's going to be here.
Well, we're not much better because we can't remember it clearly. So, but then again, it's not our job.
I'm not remembering, so
no,
that's what counts.
Let's look at the what's going on apparently tonight on Dark. There's 14, 15 matches like there always are on goddamn Dark. I don't watch a lot of Dark. It's a bit much. Still haven't figured out what the difference is between Dark Elevation and just Dark. I guess one of them has Paul White and one of them doesn't.
Elevation.
God damn it, right? All their titles have something with it.
Or shuns, yeah.
But tonight on the episode of actual Dark is a double Dark.
Dark. Oh, double darks.
They should call
double darks. Double darks were my favorite thing on tour.
Double darks. I know what those are.
Hey, that you may work that into the title of the show.
Maybe. That's gonna come across as racist because of me, and then everything's gonna fly off the handle. So we can't do that.
It's true. He's not wrong.
But the apparently the FTW Championship is being defended on Dark tonight against Brandon Cutler. I don't know if this is the first time Brian Cage has defended the title on AEW. I feel like they have done it once or twice before, but it's not common. And with the presentation that we've had on last week's Dynamite, where Brian Cage kind of broke the ranks of Taz and Team Taz. And
This was the first defense of the FTW title since last October.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I know I knew it had, but it has been defended then on okay. I think it was against that. I think that was actually on Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken.
It might have been.
It might have been. But the whole thing where Cage kind of like broke the ranks of Team Taz, and there was a whole deal with Sting and Darby and Brian Cage, and Brian Cage actually, I think, was kind of like, was he holding off Lance Archer from getting all up in their shit?
Yeah, I think so, to say that he respected Sting.
But he was, that was his big point. He was like, he was saying he respected Sting, and the whole rest of Team Taz was kind of like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Like, you're giving us a bad name here. They're like, fuck these guys. Like, right? Like, that's their whole deal. So it leads me to believe that we might get a Brian Cage face turn, kind of getting away from Team Taz. And also at that point, does he take that belt with him? Does he drop that belt to somebody else that maybe comes into Team Taz? Or, like, is that something that you can kind of do along the line? Like,
I think they get rid of it.
Either way, I kind of disagree with that, because I think this is a way to elevate Brian Cage and or not necessarily elevate that belt, because they don't need to. But what they can do with this is, I think first off, elevate Brian Cage, but then have a split between him and somebody and Team Taz, which could lead to a feud where somebody could win it and then actually maybe even get involved with Team Taz, even against their will, because Taz now is just like, yo, you got that belt, now you're my boy type thing. And then
I mean, I see that. What if you do it another way, which somehow doesn't look great for Cage? So I'm not saying this can happen, just thinking out loud here. But Cage somehow loses it or doesn't lose it, and Taz just takes it away from him and says, this is mine. And then whoever Taz really gives that belt to is the next leader of team, like the star, and he could make another breakout. Like, I'm not saying he can do this over and over and over again.
I think we're both over. I think we're both over confusing it. The simplest way to do it would be realistically Cage to drop it, and then Taz being like, "Yo, you drop this belt. Whoever has it, right? Like, they're not a member of Team Taz, but whoever has it. I'm pissed off at you. Brian Cage is now pissed off at Taz. Brian Cage turns face by turning on Team Taz, and now you've got that like way to at least separate Cage, because I think he's being the Team Taz thing was fine at the beginning, but I think it's holding him back now.
I agree, and I also think that the way you get the FTW title is a bullshit title.
Yeah.
It's always been a bullshit title. Yeah. It's not an official AEW title. It doesn't need to be there, right? Like, it was there to make Cage look important.
Right.
They can get rid of it. And if you turn Cage face, he throws it at Taz or does what he did.
That's a smart move, just to kind of like, that's a 2-in-1 scenario.
Because what he did with Lucha Underground, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched the first season of Lucha Underground, which came out in 2014, so fuck off.
You can spoil that. That's fine.
Yeah, so like, he was in a title match. He didn't win the title, but he literally ripped the belt in half.
Oh, wow.
So like, have him come out with a fake,
and he's
FTW.
The guy to do that too.
Exactly. Have him come out with a gimmicked FTW title.
Yeah.
To keep his original one, and then like when the split happens, he can rip it in half.
I kind of have a soft spot for him, and I want to see Cage.
Like, watch Lucha Underground.
Yeah, I must.
All
I will
fucking
have
over.
to. I will have to. I will have to. But I is he masked in Lucha?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, they play up the machine gimmick a lot.
Gotcha.
It's funny because Cage is the American wrestler who went down to Mexico and did the MAGA gimmick.
Really?
Do you remember hearing about that?
No,
a
I
few
thought that
years
was
ago?
somebody else. I thought
No,
that was
Cage did it.
Maybe he did it first, but there's another guy that's done it since. I want to say.
Yeah, but Cage was the one that like.
Because no, you know who else did it was Ziggler's brother, Ryan Nemeth.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, he had a big. He had a whole thing. I've seen it. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've literally seen Cage do the same thing. So
I think
Yeah.
you actually talked about it a while ago when it happened.
Yeah.
Owen.
Yeah.
I think you maybe
I've mentioned that.
glossed over
I think, yeah, it was definitely Ziggler's brother Nemeth with.
right,
Yeah, he
and
did.
Cage
he did
has
that.
as well.
And well, which it seems like Cage would have done it first. So kudos.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
I
that Cage was first.
maybe who knows?
It doesn't really matter
No,
in
of course
that
not.
sense. But yeah, like for being like that, like Cage has definitely grown on all of us. I think I liked Cage from the beginning because
I just didn't know him.
Lucha Underground. What's that?
I just didn't know him, you know, at the time.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
now I see this like brick shit house and I can see what he can do. And I've seen some interviews and I've heard some interviews and he strikes me as a pretty level-headed good guy. And I think that there's a lot that they can do with him there in the company as well. I think he's going to be one of these ones that we're in a couple years being like, wow, remember he was just in Team Taz and not allowed to talk, because I think he can talk and he's just not really being let to at the moment.
Cage can cut a promo.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about this upcoming tomorrow's Dynamite? Because there's a few confusing things on this. Quickly, we've got Nyla Rose versus Tay Conti. Your girl,
My
Matthew.
I was about to say.
Your girl.
You know I'm tuning in.
I feel like as much as I want Tay Conti to win this, it's
It's not gonna happen.
probably not going to happen, and Nyla Rose will
She'll look
take
good
that.
losing though.
Yeah, she will indeed. Oh, she wears the fishnets. I like her. That's all that matters to me. Nice butt and some fishnets.
Yeah.
Good pro
By the way,
wrestler.
if you want spoilers for the FTW title match, I know who won.
Oh well, I know what happened tonight, so you might as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's going to come as any shock, but Brian Cage.
Whoa! What?
defeated-
Wait.
Did he?
Wait.
You're telling me that Dragon
Wait.
Man Brian Cutler did not?
Yeah, he rolled a 1. I just want you to know he rolled a nat 1.
Where are the
'cause-
Bucks for him, by the way? How come they never help him out? Like,
Dude.
in storyline, that's actually kind of a shitty thing. They are always not helping him out.
Exactly. They're too busy spending all their money.
Oh,
on
maybe that's a
Jordans.
good storyline.
Maybe it could be.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the arc.
Maybe. We also have tomorrow night FTR and Sean Spears versus the Varsity Bronze and Dante Martin. Whoever Dante.
Bronze? The varsity bronze?
Did I say that? Blondes is what I meant.
Yeah.
And
That's
and
bronze
That's
next
Pillman
gimmick after the
Jr.
choo-choo
and,
thing.
yeah.
Varsity bronze.
Varsity Bronze is a better name, actually. Like that's like Lex Luger and Paul Arndorff if they were a tag team next to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
Those two steroided out fucks.
But-
Oh, by the way, sorry, I recently needed something
Matthew
on in the
random train of
background.
thought. Squirrel.
Sorry. Oh, we randomly you were just throwing out old wrestlers' names, right? And it made me think that I recently
Bobo
had
Brazil.
a couple of episodes on in the background as I was packing and stuff for travel with and it was Young Rock, because we talked about the other
right.
podcasts about like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe we'll catch up like here and there, and I was like, oh, it's something I haven't seen. I need some background. And they're like doing this battle royal match like in Hawaii and like stuff like that, and they're going through the poster and it's like Macho Man, then it's like him doing a catchphrase,
Yeah,
you know, like
I've-
all those things. And it had Greg the Hammer
Valentine,
And
yes.
I just fucking laughed.
Who looks nothing, the actor that's playing him looks nothing
Dude,
like
none
him.
of them do. The one who played Flair, like the one, I'm like, you guys, come on.
Yeah.
Greg the Hammer Valentine is pickled. Like he is definitely like fermented.
There's something going on there for damn
Pickled.
sure.
He
I think
is
he might not even be pickled. He's like dried out by like the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Florida sun and like Keystone Light.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, which also made me think about the Peacock thing. I was like, how did we not see some of this coming when they started doing like a rock show?
Good point.
Like that was like the precursor.
NBC, all
Yeah.
that type of thing. You're
Yep.
right. And now they started playing it. They played an episode of Young Rock right after Raw last night on USA. That's the first time they've done that. So they're definitely trying to
Well, NBC Universal. It makes sense.
derp,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Well,
Wait, are we 100%? Are we 100% sure it's NBC
yes,
Young Rock?
yes.
Okay, just make it
Because I was watching Peacock
and it's on there.
and it's on there.
Okay, got it.
So,
Sorry, I interrupted.
Did
the
you
thought of
watch?
yours.
Did you watch the? Did you watch Fastlane on Peacock or on the network?
I did. I ended up watching it to try it out, just to kind of see how it was. And
I'm an old schooler. I still haven't switched my account. I'm like waiting till like I'm one of those people. It's like you will literally like kick me out of the building and force me into that next line.
I mean, that's what they did to me. Is they told me that mine expired. They sent me an email.
It's based on like when you
Wednesday.
signed up that it makes sense to do it, and I was kind of in the same
mine was
sitch.
like they literally it was the Wednesday before Fastlane, so it was this past Wednesday, and they sent me an email. They're just like your WWE network expires tomorrow. It will not be renewed, and you will not be able to access it.
It was your only way to do it then at that point.
So
yeah, that makes sense. I literally just ran it. I'm like running it until that day happens, just because I was like, I don't use it for like as much as we've talked about it, and we don't need to rehash it. Like I used it for I like the 365s, I like the 24s. I like to go back and watch certain matches here and there. But like other than that, I don't need a WCW Nitro from fucking.
There was a good amount of stuff on there. I was actually surprised when I was looking through the catalog.
It was better than I thought it was going to be. I agree with you, Duncan. I initially thought, I'm like, oh man, they're going to be missing everything. But no, I mean, granted, you're not going to find your Raw from 1996. You're going to have troubles finding some of that stuff. And I think the search functionality is one of the biggest problems that it has currently. I also think that they will eventually get it up to par. They will get there. It might take a while. The catalog will take until, I guess, what do they say, SummerSlam
August,
or something to get that.
And honestly, like they sent me a code in the email that was just like use Peacock Mania and you get like 50% off. So
for like your first 4 months or something.
They've told me that it's like $2.50.
So it's $2.50 for Peacock Premium, but then there's Peacock Premium Plus or whatever. That's the one that has no ads.
Oh, see, that's where I'm been confused. I'm like, tell me which one. I don't even know.
So this is how they.
I think I got the premium, but it worked fine.
So yeah, and that was fine for me as well. But like premium is what you get. So it's $5 a month for the premium, and then another $5 a month on top of that for the ad free. So basically, you get $2.50 off that. So it's like for the first 4 months, it's $7.50 a month for the premium.
Correct me if I'm wrong too. The pay-per-views won't have ads. It's all the other content. So you're not getting like the pay-per-view in the middle of a match. You're not getting a goddamn like Geico ad that pops up or whatever like you would on a Hulu TV show or something like that. No, it's pretty good. Like the pay-per-view felt normal. I wish it had like the watch from the beginning or had the go live on whenever you wanted.
Like rewind.
Play or pause. Yeah, rewind, fast forward, all that type of shit. Doesn't have that. But at the end of the day, it's negligible. Yeah. The difference. And over time, it'll just get better and better.
Change.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, anyone really. But also, the Young Rock thing, I did have this high thought the other night. What if this is literally like the way they did this the way WWE has gotten into NBC Universal, Young Rock came out. It is about a 2032 president. Like, what if this is actually the beginning of that, so he doesn't have to tell his story to everybody else?
I think you're 100% right. I think
this is fucking it. And then literally you will have, instead of like Stone Cold and Donald Trump, it's like The Rock and fucking Donald Trump. And literally we have, as much as The Rock is great, really embraced idiocracy.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some
President
truth.
Camacho.
I think they're testing the waters with that. I think there's some truth to that. And yeah, I can see this, if nothing else, just being a launching platform. I mean, for even The Rock to make an appearance. I kind of think he might even show up at Mania this year. Unexpectedly.
Do you think it's to set up a match between him and Roman
for the
next
following
year's
year?
Mania?
Yeah.
Who is really the head of the table?
I think there might be something there, especially with how they're displaying The Rock after, Monday Night Raw. I think all these little...
And they're using the finally for the
yes, they are
advertising.
Yes,
that good
finally
point.
Very good point, actually. Finally, we are back, right? Finally, we are back.
And it's the
you
Rock's
know what?
voice, though.
You know what's crazy? I'm glad you brought that up, because we were watching. Like, Teresa's in the kitchen. I've got Monday Night Raw, or it was the previous night where I've got Fastlane on. They ran one of those ads. She's in the kitchen. It's loud enough. I'm enjoying my wrestling. I'm on the couch, and it plays the ad. And from the other room, she does, and she's not that big of a wrestling fan. She wouldn't even know. Like, she knows The Rock. She knows, like, and she would have watched a bit of it then, but she instinctively fucking did it. It was she went and she repeated, like, the finally, like, she did her version.
Back.
Yeah, she did her version of The Rock when she heard it said. So
right.
for a pretty casual fan, for them to hear that just shows right there in advertising that shit works.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If he becomes president, I hope he opens every address. Finally.
Right?
I still hope he refers to himself as The Rock. Not President Rock, not President
not
Johnson.
Dwayne.
Not Dwayne, just The Rock.
Yeah, just The Rock. Just call me The Rock. That's fine. Yeah.
And he goes full heel as soon, like, during his inaugural address.
We have a heel turn and a face turn, like, in the middle of his presidency.
Can you imagine?
La 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 la.
Yeah. All right. So build out his cabinet. Can we build out his cabinet?
This is how we're closing the show. I like it.
Well, we got to do a couple quick things before we do that.
You better hurry.
I'm going, man. I'm going. I'll do what I can.
Because I would really much rather fill out The Rock's cabinet than whatever you have planned. I'm not even gonna lie.
Fair enough. John Silver has to be in his cabinet, but he's going against Darby Allin this week, and I think poor Johnny Silver, he's gonna have to lose that.
No, Johnny Hungy is gonna lose.
He is.
Yeah.
And then why are we doing this Matt Sydal Kenny Omega thing? That doesn't make much sense to me.
It's
especially with the stipulation.
In kayfabe, it's to make Kenny wrestle a match.
If Matt Sydal, but why put that on there? If Matt Sydal wins, he gets to have another match with Kenny Omega for the championship. I don't get it. I don't like it.
Why not? What doesn't make sense about it?
He's not going to win.
Because he's not going to win either match, and it's unbelievable.
Well, because you don't have a second.
I think he'll win. I think he'll win the first match. I don't think it'll be a clean win, but I think he'll win, and he'll get a championship match, and then he'll lose.
I think the match between them makes sense because we just saw, like, him and Moxley, and, like, we saw, like, the brutal side of Kenny Omega and, like, the more hardcore, less agile version of the Cleaner, right? And you now need to bring him back and establish him as someone who is agile and can do things that Matt Sydal can take from him, and that he can also take from Matt Sydal, but it also builds Matt Sydal a little bit within that. But I think it's a different type of match than what we've been seeing Kenny in. So it's going to be more physical, like more acrobatic, like it's going to be
more of that style of wrestling
more
instead
of that
of like
style,
the
which is not
hardcore
what
style
we've
of wrestling.
gotten recently
Yeah.
from Kenny due to the storyline. So I think that the reason this makes sense, even though to your point, Owen, and agreed, like I mean, Matt Sydal doesn't need to win either of these or anything, but like I mean, or
Maybe
he
it's
needs
the
to win
wrong
the first one
guy
to get
for
to the
me. I
second
don't.
one. But regardless, I think they could put on a good match together. It's not going to be like the best thing in the world, but it's going to be entertaining. And I think you're probably going to be, I think we're all probably going to be more entertained than we maybe think. I don't know, maybe I'm like selling this more than I should, but I think it gets him back to that style and a little bit away from what he was doing, which if you're going to have him then against Rich Swann, you need him to not be this hardcore,
it's
like
a palate
non-bomb making motherfucker.
It's a palate cleanser is what it is. And I think like adding the stipulation is one of two things. Either you're setting up for a second match with with Kenny and Sydal for the title, right? Like in an effort to establish
Don't care. Don't want that
Sydal.
match.
Okay, well, I don't think it matters what you want specifically. I think it more matters about what Tony Khan wants. And I also think that you have to have a palate cleanser between this or between Moxley and Rich Swann, like Matthew said. And
you have to do something completely forgettable.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's a complete red herring and he's going to just lose outright. Either way, it's still a palate cleanser, and it's Tony Khan's way of, in storyline, making sure that Kenny Omega still has to wrestle because he is still a contracted wrestler, and just because he's the champion doesn't mean that he doesn't get to wrestle on Dynamite.
All right, I like that explanation. That's decent.
So, and I think that was like Tony Khan's kayfabe explanation for it. Like, I think that's how they played it off, like, because I know Callis and Omega were kayfabe upset about it. So, but it's just like, you're still the champion. You still have to wrestle. Like, I think it was one of those, if you don't wrestle, it's all about like establishing Kenny as more of that kind of like dick heel that doesn't want to, like, he's got the championship now. He's just like, I don't have to do anything now. I'm the shit. I'm the king shit. And Tony Khan's like, yeah, but I still sign your checks.
I like that. Even though he's an EVP, Tony's still the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, so it's also kind of Tony's way of establishing himself as an authority without shoving it down everybody's throat.
Mm-hmm.
So
before we get going, and before we just quickly do the, of course, the cabinet for the Rock.
Before you do that, I do want to say I think that Sydal is the wrong guy. To your point, I think that you could pick virtually anybody else on the roster, still get a good match with them, and still pick somebody who's got that style, like Matthew was talking about,
without burying them either, too. Like,
correct.
Yeah, because like I think that's why Sydal has been picked, and part of the reason I don't think Sydal's the right guy is I kind of feel for him is that every time he's thrown a little bit of like, a momentum or break, he is forced into this situation where he's very obviously going to lose.
Yeah.
So he's not the right guy for that.
He gets put on the top rope just to slip, as they say in the business.
But we don't necessarily want to see like this would be bad for Miro, right? Like that's not right for Miro. Like that there's a lot of like, I guess he could do another Joey Janela match, but like no, we've seen that with
I think it needs
Kenny.
to be something that he
like I would want to see it with like him and Jungle Boy, but like
you're
like,
saving that though, right?
I don't know why I keep booking matches in my head with Jungle Boy for some, but like it's
because
just like he could go with certain people. Yeah, everyone really. He's fucking great. But you don't bury him either. So you don't bury him, you don't bury Orange, you don't bury Darby, you don't bury, like, go down your list of people who
Yeah.
are on Dynamite consistently, and like you're not burying them. You said Miro, okay,
That
Kip Sabian. That doesn't really make any fucking sense
No.
either.
Right.
You know,
It's really hard to find somebody who makes sense, and I think Sydal is somebody who can have a good enough match.
Ryan Nemeth is probably one of the only other ones.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
and I think that, like, I wouldn't rule out him having a match with Omega at some point. It wouldn't be a very long match, but it would be a serviceable match. But I think that, to Matthew's credit, it's just like you go down the roster and look at the people who can afford to take a loss
many
without
of 'em.
being. Well, yeah, but like Sydal can take a loss, or he can get a fluke win and then take a loss for the championship, and not like, it's like, cool, he had a couple of good matches, but it's not as detrimental or as positive. It's sort of a neutral thing, right? Like it's a treading water feud.
Yeah. Let's quickly talk
Filler.
about this. Got some more announcements from the 2021 Hall of Fame. So far, they've gotten with Molly Holly. Okay. Don't care, really. Not my time of wrestling. I'm sure, I've
I
seen
love Molly Holly.
Yeah, she's fine. It's fine.
Mighty Molly, bro. Mighty
Yeah.
Molly in the Hurricane.
It's fine.
It was
Eric,
awesome.
I liked your point when I brought up Bischoff to you a couple weeks ago, or whenever it was announced, about a week ago now.
Yeah.
I don't think it was brought up on the show, but you're like, yeah, he should have been in there with the original NWO, and that.
Well, when they
they got inducted, like that.
Well, they haven't been inducted.
I thought they would, or were they from the
That's
last
going
year?
That's going in for 2020.
Yeah. Okay, my bad. So,
And I was just like, why the fuck do you not induct Bischoff with that group?
yeah, now, like, with whatever's gone on, of course, like we only have three. I think it's only 3 people from 2021 so far. Of course, they could add more, but Jesus Christ, let's keep it pretty lean for this year, especially considering we're gonna have to do a double ceremony and announce everybody
Right.
from last year.
At least they knocked Batista out.
Yeah,
for
Batista,
this year.
like that. They're probably like, oh yes, thank you. Like that,
well,
that
and,
actually
and
helps.
considering that again, they have 80 hours of wrestling in 24 hours, so it's like literally like that is going to be the least watched
It will.
of all of the programming they have scheduled that week. So I mean, it's you again, to your point, they have to bring in the people from last year. They got to do this year, and like people are gonna watch the highlights. Like we live in an age, you're gonna watch the highlights. I'm not gonna watch that.
Dude, watching the Hall of Fame has always been painful because everybody's speech is like really long, and there's a lot of inside like jokes and stuff that none of us are smartened up to.
Yeah, I get it. Just let me watch the 24.
I guess just for me, I'm here for the British Bulldog, and that's maybe I'm guessing they're probably gonna have his kid induct him, or like that would make sense. I mean,
maybe
we'll find out. But then there's the last one with RVD being announced today. Rob Van Dam, and everything that they could do with Rob Van Dam, Matt Riddle.
And the Godfather.
I brought up
earlier.
Yeah.
Choo choo.
Duncan had the best idea ever. Like, we're gonna TM this one, but like wrestling or WWE based CBD. Like, how is
Superstar
this
CBD.
Like, Superstar CBD. Like that
Like
is
wrap snacks.
That's like
War has their own CBD line that just got announced.
They could
Of
pull it
CBD
off.
flour.
They could pull it off. I think it's brilliant, but RVD very deserving, right?
RVD has his own CBD line.
Yeah, you could just sell it to him. It'd be fine.
Guys, what about at the Hall of Fame or at WrestleMania?
At Legends Night Part
You
12.
have the Godfather, and you have Braun.
Oh yeah.
Stupid.
O Train versus the Stupid
And
Express.
they just collide, and
and it's a cloud of
flash
dab
of
smoke.
ambience.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
fucking Godfather is still standing, and Braun has the biggest contact high he's ever had in his life.
Offers Braun a blunt.
Right.
Braun takes
Right.
a
He's
hit.
like, I rolled a fatty for this pimp daddy.
He's like, now I am stupid.
Okay.
Like, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I am
Yep.
stupid.
Yeah,
now.
I am stupid.
All right. Let's quickly cast the cabinet for the cabinet.
All right, who's vice president? If The Rock
I mean,
is
vice
president,
president.
Oh
who's
man.
vice president?
Shit. I gotta go Ron Simmons, but maybe not.
Damn. No, I think Ron Simmons is Secretary of State.
Yeah, I was gonna say Secretary of State. Yeah, that's Ron Simmons.
Because that's our
for
what's our foreign and domestic policy. Damn.
Damn.
D'Lo would be a good vice, but he's like Secretary of Treasury or something.
No, he's foreign affairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I was gonna say Wade Barrett as UN secretary
Mhm.
Okay.
because he's got some bad news. Why is this so?
We
much
haven't got
harder
a
to-
good VP yet, have we?
We haven't got a good VP.
We're
yet.
gonna get there though. As we.
Oh, we
as
know
we
it.
work
I know
through-
it. I know it. I know it. I know it. I got it.
What you got?
Mick Foley.
I'm in.
Mick Foley.
Oh,
Mick
I'm
Foley.
totally
The Rock,
in.
Mick Foley. You know, you
And
got The
Sasha-
Rock and
and-
Sock
and
Connection
Sasha-
running the
and-
country.
You have. I love that, and you have to have fucking Sacco who just chimes in every now.
Oh
and then.
yeah.
So who is Sacco?
Oh,
So
it's got his own
Sacco-
position. Yeah. He's
So we have to look. So who?
head of the ATF.
If the president dies or loses office and the vice president takes over, who then takes over?
Speaker
Is
of
it
the House,
Speaker of the House. So
House. Yeah.
Sacco is the Speaker of the House.
and then
Could
the
be.
Senate pro tem, and then the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaker of the House isn't appointed by the president, so it's not technically part of the
Oh,
cabinet.
No.
Sacco will win by
Sacco
popular
could
Not
get
part of the
elected.
cabinet, but he could get
He'll
elected.
get elected. He'll get elected
Sacco
to that
could get
office.
elected. I definitely think that. I think that.
I mean, come on, we're talking in a world where fucking
I think you
Dwayne
put-
Johnson goes against
Right.
fucking Donald Trump in a fucking
put
presidential
CM
bid,
Punk-
which is actual reality that we might live in.
I don't look. I'm upset with ourselves for putting
Oh,
this
God.
evil into the world, but I think
It was-
CM Punk would be the head of the ATF.
Fair enough.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
I came up with the director of
Pretty much
transportation. Is that is
Yeah, no.
that's
yeah.
a thing, right?
Yeah.
Secretary of Transportation.
Yeah, it's for Kishi,
Transportation
clearly.
He did it for the
He
Rock.
did it for the Rock.
He did it for the Rock.
That's awesome.
Clearly.
Man,
Who else are we missing?
Secretary-
Like
Godfather is Secretary of Agriculture.
agriculture.
Oh
yep.
yeah. That's fair.
What's Stone Cold gonna be? Because obviously,
Oh, he's got to be in there somewhere,
maybe
doesn't
he's
he?
ATF.
Yeah, he would be.
No, maybe Stone Cold is like the head of the national parks. Because he's always outdoors doing shit now and riding his ATVs around.
Nah, he's clearly the diplomat to the Middle East.
What?
You know what?
What?
That Sharia law and all
The
that.
diplomat to Whatistan. No, your envoy to the Middle East has got to be Muhammad Hassan.
Okay, yeah.
That's a deep cut.
That's going back. He didn't last very long.
You know why?
He's
'Cause he
apparently
drove-
a principal at a school now. I heard.
Yeah, because he's Italian and not actually
Yeah.
fucking.
Yeah.
I
you
saw
got,
this
man?
really old guy on the plane the other day, and he was wearing a shirt. He was obviously an old Italian guy, and he was wearing a bright red shirt. And in like the Godfather writing, it said, "I'm not yelling. I'm Italian." And yeah,
He's
and
constantly like, hey,
I met those
Probably.
people.
you.
I met those
Yeah.
people.
yeah,
Yeah.
but no, I'm really ragging my brain to figure out where Stone Cold fits in all of this. Is it Secretary of Defense?
Ooh,
Like,
that's too obvious, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
too
Isn't it?
obvious. Yeah, that's too obvious.
Arrive, raise hell, leave.
Yeah. God damn.
yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good cabinet. I'm
That's a
actually
pretty
for
solid
this
cabinet.
administration pretty
Yeah, you know
solidly.
what? The
You
more
know
we
what?
talk about it, the more I'm in favor of
The
it.
more I'm on, yeah.
Who's the
I'm literally drinking the Gatorade. It has electrolytes.
Oh,
So,
I got
you
that
know,
sitting on the
feed-
couch or on the counter.
Yeah,
in the-
everything
in the-
with electrolytes. Feed the
That's it.
plants with it. It's idiocracy.
Who's
That's
the
it.
one? Who's the one
It's
that
what plants
talks?
crave.
That talks for the president that you see every day, like
Oh,
on
the
news?
you're
Speaker
talking
of
the
the-
press
The
secretary.
press
Yeah, the press sec-
secretary. We got to have a press
that-
secretary. I'm gonna go with Charley Caruso, seeming.
Who's got some backstage heat?
She? Oh
apparently.
well, yeah. Apparently, she's not gonna be in the WWE very long, from everything that I've been
Yeah,
reading.
because she shows up late.
Uh,
to
she-
everything.
which I think is hilarious. Tits and teeth. Oh, I'm gonna miss you, tits and teeth. You're the best. I love
Jesus.
you. She's my favorite. Tits and teeth. You're the best. Yeah, Charley Caruso. She could do that. She could do that job. Just because she's got an opening. But if you have
I think
other
you have Stephanie B.
there wouldn't be a better one that you could literally possibly
That's what I'm
hire.
saying.
That,
Nobody,
nobody
she's
is better
not
for
taking
that
shit
job.
from anybody.
Welcome to the no spin zone.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. That.
And then Linda goes right back as
Oh, yeah.
secretary
God
Education.
damn it.
of small
Education.
business affairs.
Oh yeah.
No, Betsy DeVos, who is secretary of education.
Education.
now-
Shane Douglas.
Ooh. Oh yeah, Shane Douglas.
Or- no, no,
clearly.
no.
You could.
No, Lanny Poffo, the genius.
The Genius. Yes, I remember the Genius. That
Deep.
I love the genius.
And he
Deep
was
fucking
good
cut.
too. It was good
Yeah.
too.
Of course he was. He was Macho
He was
Man's
Macho's
brother.
Exactly. Fucking
And
Papa.
apparently his dick is so big he can suck it.
Dude, he's got a Poffo dick. Big old Poffo dick.
No, yeah, it's like
He's-
legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of a Slim Jim.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So how does he know he can suck his dick? Okay. Well.
It's yeah. It's
Well,
dude, like
Apparently, how is it public knowledge?
you shoot
Yeah.
all the old RF videos, like they always end up talking about wrestlers' dicks and
They
shit.
do. Big old dongers.
Big old dongers.
That being said, we've gone long tonight.
Just like a dong.
Thank you,
As do
everybody.
this.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode 109 of the Oh No Wrestling podcast. We'll have more of these.
Angry orangutan.
More of these coming your way, certainly as
Just like a big old dong. coming your way.
WrestleMania is shaping up. Let me organize my notes. No, guys, thank you so much. Check out, of course, OHNOWrestling.com. If you're listening to the podcast, we do this live on Twitch, twitch.tv/ONRS live. That's all because we are a subsidiary, if you will, or partner podcast of OHNO Media and the OHNO Radio Show. Find us all on Facebook. Find us wherever you find podcasts. These boys do a thing called Nobody Cares Go Harder. Also find us on Instagram, OHNO Radio Show on Instagram. Anything else we need to promote here?
Revolution. Oh no, that's not.
Oh, I was gonna go with the Braun. Choo, choo. With a woo behind it. Ah!
From the top.